Hello and welcome to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, where we have full commentary here on Sports Extra of Tottenham Hotspur against Sunderland. A very intriguing match in store, given that Spurs have been underperforming and Sunderland certainly exceeding expectations on what is a bright sunny day, although very much chill in the air here in North London. Curtis Davis alongside me for this one, and Curtis, as I was saying, Spurs have underwhelmed really this season, which has led to the microscope being on Thomas Frank, both in terms of results and style of play, and you contrast that with all of the enthusiasm and plaudits that are coming the way of Sunderland.
Yeah, and that's it. Sunderland, having watched a lot of Sunderland last year in the Championship, when they got promoted, they kind of stumbled into the Premier League in the strangest way possible to say. They did win the playoffs, so you worried from when they went up. What they've done is they've recruited with a few experienced players, but still kept that young impetus around it. They've done brilliant. Tottenham, at home they have been poor. That's the problem. Any team that's worth anything has to have their home form. They're 17th in the home table currently. They need to improve that, coupled with the fact that they haven't been creating a lot, and the games have been pretty boring by Spurs fans' analysis, shall we say. That's been a big problem. But this is a team that finished 17th last year, so it's still an improvement currently.
Yeah, you mentioned their home form. Only 8 of the 26 points they've picked up this season have come here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. They've made 2 changes to their side from that ball draw against Brentford a few days ago. Ben Davies makes his first start of the season, while Matisse Tell comes in for João Paulinho. Jed Spence moving to the bench to accommodate Davies. So Spurs look like this: Vicario in goal, Davies, Van der Ven, Romero and Porro at the back, Gray and Bentancur sitting in midfield, Odegaard, Kudus and Tell supporting Richarlison up top. Sunderland held Manchester City to that goalless draw, that very watchable goalless draw on New Year's Day. No surprise that Regis Lebris has gone with the same side for this one. Robin Roofs in goal, Dennis Serkin, Omar Alderete, Nordi Mukiele and Trey Hume are at the back. Pietralda and Xhaka anchoring midfield, Adingra, Lafay and Mayenda supporting Brian Brobby up top. And you just get the feeling, Curtis, that while on paper Spurs have a more expensively assembled squad, and you look man for man, they've probably got the better quality players in inverted commas, but Sunderland just have that togetherness and that identity that Spurs don't.
They do, and unfortunately football's not won on paper, because we spoke about the squad that Tottenham have got, a fantastic squad, internationals throughout their team. You see this Sunderland side that's actually lost players to AFCON as well. To see that they've still got that team unity, that team ethics, that they all work for each other, and sometimes when you've got that takes you that extra 5%, 10%, and what they're getting out of themselves this season is probably an extra 20-30%. So fair play to Sunderland, but Spurs will be wanting a reaction to the last game today.
Curtis Davis with us on 5 Sports Extra, full commentary of Tottenham Hotspur against Sunderland from here in North London. Blue skies overhead, not a cloud in the sky. The sun splashed across the far side from us at this wonderful arena. Tottenham get us underway, and the ball is looped forwards towards Richarlison. Good run from the Brazilian, well watched though by the covering defending of Pietralda, and he got it safely back to Robin Roofs, who has been one of the most impressive performers this season, the 22-year-old Dutch keeper who was signed last August. He's Sunderland's only ever present this season. Every minute he has played so far, and 7 clean sheets in the Premier League, including 3 in their last 4 games, one of which of course came against Manchester City. Yeah,
that's exactly it. In the reverse fixture they beat them 3-0, and it was quite a comfortable result. And you know, at the Stadium of Light, it's a totally different place. So going up there, Man City would have expected a win and would have wanted that. But Sunderland, fair play to them. When they've got that fan base behind them, it's a really difficult place to go.
Tell from distance, and Roofs behind it, and having just sung his praises there, spilled it almost into the path of Richarlison in his bright orange ensemble today, the Sunderland stopper, but recovered quickly enough to gather, and the ball is put out of play by Roofs actually, because they've got an issue here with one of their players, and I think it's going to be a problem for Nordi Mukiele here, who's just down holding his thigh, and he's quickly got back up to his feet. It is a chilly day here in North London, so if you do yourself some damage, fairly unforgiving conditions, aren't they?
Well, he just started stretching off his quad, so I really hope that he hasn't strained it, because that's the worst thing you could do. But fair play to Roofs. I've just watched it back and it did get a slight deflection, so he got his body behind it and managed to gather it. So it wasn't a mistake after giving him no praise. But it's a good start by Spurs. Been willing to go more direct from that direct play there. Tell just thought he'd take the shot from a big distance, 25-30 yards, and fortunately for Roofs, he managed to gather the second part.
Roofs in possession again then. 2 minutes gone here at Tottenham. 0-0 between Spurs and Sunderland. Sunderland, who are looking to move into the top 5 in the Premier League. They would do so with a victory, with Chelsea not in action until later against Manchester City, a game that you can hear live in full on 5 Live, a 5:30 kickoff. But a Sunderland success coupled with Manchester United only drawing against Leeds would see them leapfrog both Chelsea and United to go up into 5th in the table. Liverpool currently in 4th. They're up against Fulham. That game is a delayed kickoff in West London, by the way. That is one that you can hear over on 5 Live. Also a choice of listening for you with Everton against Brentford and Newcastle against Crystal Palace, also available on the BBC Sounds app. Here at Tottenham, though, bit of a slow start, although a quick piece of work from Mohamed Kudus out on the right-hand side. Has seen him get the ball back in field to Pedro Porro. This is on halfway for Spurs. That's a really poor pass by Porro, well behind Ben Davies, who has to scamper across to the left-hand side of the pitch to collect for Tottenham, deep in his own territory at the moment. Sunderland all in blue with white shorts and blue socks this afternoon. Their change strip as Van der Ven brings it to midway inside the Tottenham half. And you mentioned it earlier, Curtis, that there's a feeling amongst Spurs fans that it's just been a bit dull, hasn't it? Which was exemplified by that Brentford game.
Yeah, that's it. And I remember I came here for the Copenhagen game just after that Chelsea performance that, you know, saw the lowest XG in their history in the Premier League. So that day at Copenhagen, against Copenhagen, they won 4-0. So I think those Spurs fans would take it after a bad performance against Brentford. But listen, this is a Tottenham side that, yes, they won the Europa League, but there's still a long way to go for this Tottenham side. The mentality of the way they treated the league last year, I think, still takes its effect. I think there's no place for allowing yourselves to get beaten week in, week out just so that you can win a cup. And Tottenham need to get back to that winning mentality of winning week in, week out, and climbing into those Champions League places, because ultimately when they built this stadium, when everything around this club says Champions League, and they need to get themselves in there next year, even though they're obviously currently still in it now.
Yeah, you mentioned how they fared last season in the Premier League. They're actually 2 points better off than they were at the same stage last season. However, they've scored 14 fewer goals, so the entertainment levels have certainly dropped off, even if the points haul is slightly better. They're in possession at the moment. And Pedro Porro has given it away in a bad area, in the right back area, but he gets away with it as it bounces behind off Brobby for a goal kick to Tottenham.
And when you mention the fact that obviously they've scored 14 less goals, you know, when I saw Ben Davies in the starting lineup today, it made me, you know, have a little look at it and think, well, why? And, you know, because Jed Spence, more of an attacking threat, you know, do you want to take the game to Sunderland or do you want to protect? I've just seen that he's starting to, as play goes on, Porro is going higher and Ben Davies is rolling into a kind of false back three. But, you know, surely a Jed Spence that can stretch the pitch and can get up and down the pitch. I know it's the Christmas games and you want to protect players' legs, would have been more of a suit for this game. But fair play to Ben Davies, very experienced, knows exactly how to play the game, and he's been there and done it. But yeah, just that was a bit of an eyebrow raiser for me.
Yeah, perhaps again being a bit more cautious by having Davies in there rather than Jed Spence, and it's that caution that the Spurs fans have found a bit frustrating this season. Slow start to this game as well. 6 minutes played at Spurs, 0-0 between them and Sunderland. It actually finished 0-0 the last time that these two met. It was almost 9 years ago, a goalless draw at the Stadium of Light in January 2017. Here is Kudus infield to Porro, surging forwards here. Odegaard in support on the right wing. Kudus is up there as well, and Kudus collects now. Sunderland getting back in their numbers. Kudus with the cute ball in, but it's not cute enough as it's cleared away by Mukiele from just outside the 6-yard box.
Yeah, unfortunately, Odegaard run for the same ball down the right-hand channel when he just pulled away from it, so Kudus could get it. Probably the right decision because he might have been offside, but as Kudus tried to cut in on his left foot, there wasn't really a main option. He tried to flash it into the box, but easily cleared by Sunderland for a throw on his right-hand side, which they're going to take long with Ben Davies.
Yep, that is an area that they are certainly strong in under Thomas Frank. Set pieces for Tottenham Hotspur, and Davis has a decent distance on him when he does hurl these in. So from the right hand side, plenty of loop on it, and it bounces behind for a goal kick. Spurs half-heartedly asking for a corner, but nothing doing. The result, by the way, against Brentford means that Spurs have the best away record in the top division at the halfway stage, 18 points from 10 games, but another match where they were toothless in attack for almost the entire 90 minutes. And I guess the problem for Thomas Frank is that even his own fans were singing boring, boring Tottenham at times, which is never good.
No, it's not. But this is the thing with Tottenham, unfortunately. With Ange, they were playing exciting football, with inverted brackets on it. Sorry, Richarlison's just gone in there.
Well, I didn't interrupt you because I could see Curtis. He was miles offside, but the assistant over on that far side, Mark Perry, kept his flag down. I'm not sure why, because he was a good 5 yards offside. You can get your flag up for that. You can trust your own eyes in that situation. I'm not going to go down the old route of moaning about the fact that it could lead to injuries for players because they keep the flag down for that long, but that was such an obvious one. Anyway, Spurs have it back with Van der Ven, who sends it all the way back to Guillermo Vicario. But as you were saying, the fact that the fans are getting on the players' case just means that there is that extra element aside from just the results.
Yeah, there is, and it's almost, you're actually bringing pressure to home games.
Well, they're on the move at the moment, and a long-range hit from Pedro Porro, which was ambitious. He spotted that Roos was off his line, but not by a great distance, and from midway inside the Sunderland half, went for a chip finish over the top, which tailed over the top of the bar.
Yeah, it was. Roofs was in a really good position, but I think it was clever for him to try, because it was a transitional moment where Roofs might have been on the back foot, but yeah, he didn't execute it quite as well as he wanted to. But yeah, going back to the Tottenham fans and what they wish for, you had Ange that played this fantastic football. It lasted a few months of playing excellent, high intensity, goal scoring football, and then after that, they started to lose games. So it's what you want. Do you want winning football? Listen, they're not winning at the moment either. But it's just a case of not always, what you wish for isn't always the best thing, and they've got a long way to come still, Spurs.
Yeah, Thomas Frank admitted that it's not perfect. They want to be free-flowing. They need to do everything they can to be more intense and more front-footed against Sunderland. It wasn't just the boring, boring Tottenham chants as well. They were serenading former players such as Dele Alli and Eric Dyer, singing about Martin Jol as well, the former coach from many, many years ago. So not exactly a happy camp at the moment, and a very subdued start to the game, both from the players and from the home supporters. No real volume from the Spurs contingent as of yet, with 10 minutes played, and it's still Tottenham Hotspur 0, Sunderland 0. However, Spurs have just won themselves a throw, left hand side. Ben Davies will take it, about level with the Sunderland penalty area. He is shaping up for a long one at the moment. Is it going to be the double bluff? No, it is long from Davies in towards the 6-yard box. Running it was Romero. Porro's in there, still alive for Spurs. Romero back into the mix. Sunderland with a couple of headers on it to get it half away. Tell and Porro on the edge of the area, work it back to Rodrigo Bentancur. He plays it square to Ben Davies. Spurs on the move here, swung forwards by Davies, and that's a good claim by Roofs, coming a long way from his goal line and plucking the ball out of the air just on the edge of his area.
Yeah, really good claim by Roofs, and really confident, knew what he was doing straight away. You worry with young goalkeepers nowadays, always being taught more with their feet rather than actually goalkeeping skills, but
Richarlison's just picked it up by the edge of the area, goes for goal, weak effort, Roofs fully behind it. Yeah, you have to remember, don't you, that the main thing for a goalkeeper is to actually keep the goals out.
Exactly, keep out your nets. Can you claim crosses? As a centre-half, if I've got a goalkeeper behind me that can claim crosses, brilliant, because you don't want to be there like a sitting duck waiting for a big striker to come over the top and potentially get a goal. But Sunderland sloppy again, lost the ball on the right-hand side here.
Yeah, uncharacteristically sloppy from Sunderland, but they've got it back because Kudus was a bit sleepy when he had the ball 10 yards outside the Sunderland penalty area. But perhaps a bit of a sluggish start from Sunderland. You wonder how much that Manchester City game has taken out of them. It is the same starting 11. It was 0-0, but they certainly left everything out there at the Stadium of Light. It was a real blood and thunder performance from Regis Lebris's men. And with the quick turnaround time and travelling down to London as well, maybe they are just a little bit sleepy at the moment.
Yeah, it's a little bit of mentality, just early on in the game, you are away from home. The onus is on Spurs to go and beat you as a Sunderland team, of course, but it's just the sloppiness. You know, it wasn't particularly Spurs did anything great. Mukiele played one straight to Tell a little while ago, and then on the left-hand side, there was another one just given away. I think it was Sirkin that played it inside, and, you know, it's just been too sloppy by Sunderland to start the game.
Well, they're on the move at the moment now down the left-hand side, but nothing comes of it as Enzo Lefebvre chases it down and it drifts behind for a goal kick to Tottenham Hotspur. Well, Spurs' home form in 2025, their worst on record, 11 defeats in front of their own fans, the most they've ever suffered in a single calendar year. Although, obviously, Thomas Frank doesn't take all of the flack for that, because Ange Postecoglou was the man at the helm for half of 2025's results at the very least. Sunderland have only lost 2 of their last 12 Premier League games, and they are buoyed by that 0-0 with Manchester City, although Archie Gray has got it for Tottenham, and he's running forwards here and there's no challenge coming in. Archie Gray then doesn't make the most of the space. His pass is half intercepted. Porro whips it in, and Richarlison waiting would have headed Spurs in front had it not been for a magnificent run and spot by Mukiele to send it behind from under the nose of the Brazilian.
Yeah, good work by Archie Gray. He initially gives away the ball in his own half, but then it just drives through. No Sunderland player coming towards him. He drives all the way from his own half to the D, and he tries to cut one over the top to Kudus on the right-hand side. Just falls short, and it goes to Porro in the end, but Mukiele going back towards his own goal. Richarlison's just behind him, gets a vital touch, but it's out for a Tottenham corner.
Played in Leipzig's 4-0 Champions League win against Spurs back in 2020, did Nordi Mukiele. He's prevented Tottenham taking the lead early on here. It is a corner, though, that Tell swings in. Roofs gets some fists to it. It should be cleared away now by Maenda, but good pressure from Spurs has prevented the clearance, but also led to a Sunderland throw. Curtis Davis.
Yeah, it was good by Roofs there, just understanding again. Can you catch it? No, just make sure you get a good hand on it, which he did, and Maenda was there to mop it up and was fouled by Ben Davis. But yeah, it's a decent start by Spurs in terms of when they've had those set pieces, they've made sure that they've put Sunderland under pressure. But in play, they just need to be cuter with that. That ball from Porro was the best we've seen so far, but there needs to be more of that and more impetus of getting those balls into the box, into those good areas.
So Spurs 0, Sunderland 0 with 14 minutes played. And it's also goalless at St James's Park between Newcastle United and Crystal Palace. But Brentford have taken the lead away at Everton. Igor Thiago's having quite the season, has given the Bees the advantage in that one. Fulham against Liverpool, delayed kick-off. That one will be getting underway round about now. A 15-minute delay at Craven Cottage due to a medical emergency. You can hear full commentary of all of those games, a choice of listening for you on BBC Sounds right now. And don't forget, we have Manchester City against Chelsea still to come, which is on 5 Live at 5:30. Sunderland bringing the ball out from the back then, and looking to try and make some inroads into the Spurs half, because at the moment it's been played largely in Sunderland territory, and they're on halfway with Mukiele. Now they come forwards, and it's knocked to the near side where Trey Hume has got forwards from the back, but they are forced to retreat, and Granit Xhaka, of course, attracting the pantomime boos from the Spurs fans. The former Arsenal man played in 15 North London derbies, scored just the one goal, Arsenal's 3-1 win at the Emirates in 2022. Only had the one win in 7 visits to Spurs with Arsenal, mind. And his side still have possession at the moment, just waiting for Spurs to come out and try and crowd them out. Here Trauder lays it off now, and it's collected by Maenda, backwards of square for Mukiele. Mukiele to Granit Xhaka, and Xhaka wearing blue rather than the red of Arsenal today. Finds Mukiele, his lifted ball in is not high enough, and then Tell with a miscue clearance to give Sunderland a throw deep in Tottenham territory.
Yeah, Sunderland, now they've got their foot on the ball and starting to, actually complete passes rather than the sloppy passes they were doing to start. They've pinned Spurs right back in there. Spurs were in a 4-4-2 low block right on the edge of their box and just allowing Sunderland to have it. So you can understand why these Spurs fans, when they watch and their team are, with all due respect, Sunderland are having a really good season, but you see they're straight away going into a low block and protecting the goal. And it could be a long afternoon for both teams, because Sunderland's defensive record is excellent. But yeah, Spurs, if they're going to have to defend like that for the rest of the game, I don't see much attacking impetus coming from them.
Well, Spurs' attacking impetus might be harmed by an issue to Mohamed Kudus at the moment, who is sat down and having his left quad inspected by the looks of things. And they always say, don't they, Curtis, the ones that come about after no challenges have been made on you are the most concerning. And Thomas Frank Cutting, a bit of a concerned figure at the moment as he speaks to Justin Cochrane, who's part of his backroom team.
Yeah, and particularly with Kudus, he's been their most productive player probably, this season in terms of quality, in terms of outlay, but it does look like they're going to make the change straight away, and it looks like Kolo Muani is going to make it.
Yep, Randall Kolo Muani is getting stripped and ready to come on. He's putting his shirt on, so Mohamed Kudus is not going to play any further part. And what was interesting, if we look at a player who is no longer a Tottenham Hotspur man, Brennan Johnson, who's moved to Crystal Palace, and I know quite a few Palace fans are excited about his arrival, and if you believe what you read, quite a few of the Spurs players and certainly some Spurs fans were a little bit frustrated at seeing him leave because they feel that he could do just as good a job as Kudus on that right hand side.
Well, it's just about having balance, isn't it? Because you've got Maddison that's out for the rest of the season, Kulusevski's still to come back late January. How's he going to come back? Johnson, a lot of fans might be a little bit sentimental with the fact that he scored the winning goal in the final, but aside from that, he was their top goal scorer last season. So if he's their top goal scorer last season, coming into this season where you've got no goals and no outlay, he was still, I think, joint third on 2 as top scorers in this season when he hasn't played as many games. So you know what you're going to get from Johnson. You're going to get hard work. You're going to get someone that works his socks off no matter how the game's going, both forwards and backwards. But for Brennan, I guess he wanted to play ahead of going into the World Cup potentially, and also for Spurs it's probably a good time to cash out while his value is still high. But yeah, it was one that raised my eyebrows, thinking, can you do much better than Brennan Johnson with anyone you sign back in?
That's Curtis Davis with us on 5 Sports Extra. Sunderland take this throw towards the 6-yard box, and it goes behind off Richarlison for Sunderland's first corner of the game, and a big roar goes up away to our left-hand side in this magnificent arena here in North London. And Granit Xhaka is going to run the gauntlet down in front of the south stand, that gigantic end behind the goal occupied by Vicario at the moment. And Xhaka gets ready to take this corner kick, left-footed in-swinger from the right-hand side as Sunderland look at things. Well, the Spurs fans love that, as Granit Xhaka was just going up a bit of a slope to get ready to take the corner. He completely slipped, and he's now going to sort out his boot.
Yeah, it would be the former Arsenal captain in that corner, wouldn't it, right in front of the Spurs fans? But yeah, hopefully he's sorted his boots now. He sees the funny side of it, and he's played it in now. Yeah,
they've taken the corner short, and Xhaka now whips in a very inviting ball which Archie Gray is underneath to get clear for Tottenham Hotspur. So they've dealt with that corner. They have completed that substitution, by the way. Randall Kolo Muani is on for Mohamed Kudus, and Spurs next game is away at Bournemouth, who played the other team from North London yesterday, didn't they, with Arsenal moving 6 points clear courtesy of that 3-2 success at the Vitality Stadium. They'll be keeping an eye on how Manchester City fare against Chelsea today, as Odegaard lays it off here for Porro, edge of the area. Kolo Muani, who's just come on, wretched pass. Gray tries to collect on the edge of the area. It's now Matisse Tell who goes back to Gray, bypasses him in fact. Davis has it for Spurs. They've had to retreat now from a really handy position inside the Sunderland penalty area to midway inside the Sunderland half. 0-0 with 20 minutes gone, and neither side really hitting top gear so far. It's Archie Gray for Spurs in centre field, square to Ben Davis. Davis lays it into Matisse Tell, left wing for Tottenham Hotspur. Tell darting towards the byline, gets the cross in, not enough on it though, and Sunderland should clear. And there's a foul inside the area which has given them a free kick. Curtis Davis.
Yeah, Kolo Muani, I don't know why he doesn't pull the trigger there, as the ball's played up long to Richarlison, who does really well just to back into his centre half, and he just gets a little head on it. As he heads it, Odegaard picks it up, squares it to Porro. Porro's got two options. He can shoot or roll it to Kolo Muani. As he rolls it to Kolo Muani, he takes the option to cut it back to the edge of the box again, rather than take the shot on. I think he should have had that cross-come shot aimed towards that back stick, because you never know. If Roos had got a touch on it, Richarlison would have been there in the middle waiting for a rebound. But yeah, really bad opportunity, really good opportunity to get a shot on goal and make the keeper work. But Kolo Muani didn't want to take it up.
Kolo Muani surging through centre field now for Spurs. Odegaard to his right-hand side. Again, it's another poor pass from a Spurs player when they've been in a very handy position. Cut out by Sunderland, who have it back now with Sirkin. Sirkin is wriggling away from a few challenges, then overran the ball, so he's given it away to Bentancur. Now it's Odobert, D of the area, took too long though, and the challenge came in from Hume very quickly on him. And now the pace in the game has gone up a notch. The quality, though, still not very high. Richarlison scrapping for it, edge of the area. Almost wriggled his way through a cluster of bodies that has broken kindly, though, for Sunderland. Read, though, by Romero. It's played forward towards Brobby. Brobby can't get back now, so Richarlison is in possession. Lays it off to Pedro Porro. Corner of the area, and too high with the cross. Too high for Matisse Tell. Behind it goes for a goal kick. Neither side really covering themselves in glory when it comes to quality so far.
No, the turnovers in that part of football there, it was about a minute where the ball changed hands about 10 times. It was so sloppy by both teams. You know, you understand that there's little 50-50 tackles, but it's just really sloppy from Spurs. Everybody seemed to be on top of each other rather than trying to make the space and create the chance properly, trying to do everything within one or two passes. You know, ultimately, once Sunderland were in that shape, they needed to just take a little breather, move the ball around again. But yeah, it's one of those that, and then we say it, Sunderland just give away the ball again as well, and Spurs give it away. So Sunderland on the break now.
Sunderland moving forwards with Adingra. Seaman Adingra goes backwards of square. Sunderland maybe just showing signs of settling midway through this first half. Tottenham were up in their faces early on, but lacked the quality to really conjure any meaningful opportunities, and Roofs has only made a couple of very comfortable saves so far. Vicario not called upon as of yet. Sunderland in possession, and the ball is handily into the feet of Mayenda. Mayenda loses out though. Gray has it for Spurs, and his heave forwards is aiming for Richarlison, who gets no change though out of Alderete, and Sunderland have it back with Granit Xhaka on halfway. Alderete sweeps it across to Mukiele, who chests it down midway inside his own half. Low flat pass into the feet of Enzo Lefebvre. Lefebvre works it to the near side, and here Trauder. Sunderland maybe just finding a bit of rhythm at the halfway stage. They sit 7th in the table, 29 points, just one off Chelsea in 5th. They've already won 5 more points than they had in total in their last Premier League season, and only racked up 24. What a campaign it's been, and they've got themselves a free kick now for a challenge on Mayenda just inside the centre circle, and Stuart Atwell being lobbied by some of these Sunderland players to get out a yellow card, but it will just be a free kick. Yeah,
great strength shown now by Brobby. As the ball's played through the lines by Xhaka, he plays it up, really slow ball into Brobby, but because of his strength, Romero doesn't dare try to get in front, just holds him off, lays it off to Mayenda, and as Mayenda just about to skip past Bentancur, he just gets brought down. But yeah, it was good play by Brobby, and he hasn't been in the game too much, but when he's had those few little touches, he's always done well.
So 0-0 there with 25 minutes gone at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, as Granit Xhaka gets ready to take this free kick for Sunderland. Short to Adingra, who tries to pop it into the area, intercepted by Ben Davis, and Davis's pass to Tell sees a cluster of blue shirts quickly goes to close him down, and they win the ball back, and it's now back with Granit Xhaka in that deep lying midfield area. Goes for the big bang to Adingra out wide, and it might come through for Brobby here, but the flag is up for offside anyway, so Spurs will get themselves the free kick.
Yeah, Alderete was just offside there, but it's
Richarlison in a deep area, plays it to Odobert, square to Tell, eating up the turf in front of him. Tell goes for goal and is not far away with the bender, just wide of the post. Robin Roofs, I think, was confident enough that it was drifting wide, but it wasn't a bad try from Tell.
No, it wasn't. It's a really quick free kick taken, and Richarlison gets his line right. He just on in his defensive half. So as he runs, he's just onside and plays it off to Tell. And as Tell cuts inside, he's only got one thing in his mind: to try and bend in our top corner. Roofs never looked troubled, and you can see now from the angle just from behind it just was always going on the right hand side of that post. But yeah, fair enough. Good attacking impetus, quick play from Tottenham, and they'll want more of that, these Tottenham fans, to get them off their feet.
Well, maybe that will just put a bit of a spring in Tottenham's step as Tell goes forwards on the left-hand side. Goalless between Tottenham and Sunderland. Spurs have had arguably the better of it without really getting themselves on top. It's Archie Gray for Spurs, into Ben Davis, who goes backwards of square to Mickey van der Ven. Spurs in possession with Christian Romero. Every single player bar Vicario is in the Sunderland half at the moment. Romero rolls his foot on the ball and now sweeps it wide to Kolo Muani, who's come on as a early substitute for Mohamed Kudus, who looked to have a quad injury. Poke square to Bentancur, 30 yards out from goal. Square to Davis, lifts it in. Richarlison waiting, got his head to it, but got the header all wrong. Kolo Muani will keep it in, and Sunderland were convinced that the ball had gone out for a goal kick. Players stop now anyway because there's a head injury to Omar Alderete, but Sunderland fume there with the assistant referee over on the far side, Mark Perry. That wasn't given as a goal kick.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, but yeah, it was just concerned straight away, because once this ball's played in, it's a lovely ball from Ben Davies, just on the angle from about 10 yards outside the box, but quite narrow. Just hangs one up into around the penalty spot. Richarlison gets up, but Alderete gets there first, and it's just a slight clash of heads. But you know, when you're concentrated on trying to win the ball, Alderete gets it just before, and it's Richarlison that just catches the side of his head. And yeah, it's well played by the ref to stop the play, because we allowed Alderete to get treatment, and he seems like he's going to be okay.
So goalless here between Tottenham Hotspur and Sunderland, as it is at St James's Park between Newcastle and Crystal Palace. Brentford still leading at Everton by an Igor Thiago goal to nil, and Fulham against Liverpool, a delayed kick-off. They got underway at 3:15, 0-0 at the Cottage between those two. 5:30 is the tasty game between Manchester City and Chelsea, live in full for you on 5 Live, and you can hear all of the 3 o'clock kickoffs on BBC Sounds right now. Here on Sports Extra, 0-0 as Spurs start to build out from the back once again. It's brought forwards by Ben Davies, his first start of the season for Tottenham today, into Archie Gray. Short pass, and he goes backwards of square to Christian Romero. Romero sizes up his options and plays a big curler out to the near side, and Tell, who kills it instantly with a lovely first touch. Davis on the overlap, Tell on the left hand side, didn't find Davis, and then didn't really find a teammate with his pass that was behind Wilson Odobert, so Spurs have had to build again, and that's happened so many times this afternoon that Tottenham have got themselves into a useful area. The passes then let them down. Tell's ball in this time is a little bit better. Richarlison trying to get on the end of the cross. Tell will start again as he picks up the rebound himself. Back to Ben Davies, who goes back to Bentancur again. This is where the Spurs frustrations creep in. They take a couple of steps forward and then 4 or 5 steps back.
Yeah, you see Sunderland, and they're sitting as a 5 and a 4 pretty much, and they were in the width of the box, but Spurs had nobody wide. They had nobody where if they want to change size they could do anything, and yeah, they're just playing into Sunderland's hand at the moment with the areas that the players are taking up.
Here's Romero for Tottenham, advancing to within 5 yards of the Sunderland penalty area. Offloads to Pedro Porro, gives it back to Romero, and again Spurs side to side. And a real forward ball. Sunderland doing a good job of keeping their shape and ensuring that there's no gaps to exploit, as Odobert tries to find one now, gets to the byline, and his cross is deflected, and it's going to go behind via the boot of Hirtrauder for a Tottenham corner.
Yeah, Hirtrauder couldn't take the risk there, as it just deflected off of Trey Hume. He doesn't know what position the goalkeeper's going to be in, so he keeps his foot just there to get the block and a corner that's conceded. But you know, the set pieces have been the best moments for Spurs so far, so this is probably something that they're going to need to try and get their best chances on goal.
So corner kick, which will come in from the near side from Matisse Tell, as Spurs pack the 6-yard box in front of Robin Roofs. Tell's crosses towards the far post. Romero's able to actually take the ball down, and surely in from Van der Ven, and Spurs lead. Well, Sunderland are fuming about something, not sure what. It might be their own poor defending, but Mickey van der Ven has given Tottenham Hotspur the lead, and how Thomas Frank needed that. A set piece to the far stick. Romero had all the time in the world to actually take the ball down outside the 6-yard box, laid it off for his fellow centre-half, and Van der Ven rolled it home to make it Tottenham 1, Sunderland 0.
Well, we spoke about the importance of set pieces and how this has been Spurs' best chances, but early on you can see there's a point where Romero goes towards the back post, and I think it's Aldereti's just been blocked at the back post. I don't know if it's enough to call it back and say that it's a clear mistake, but nobody makes once they can see that Aldereti's been blocked, nobody makes the extra run to go and get there and go and get out to him, because you're talking about a centre half that's just been able to play with his feet to another centre half, and that's really, really poor defending. And it seems that the check is over and the goal has been given.
Well, it's actually Ben Davies' goal as well. Van der Ven had the sweep from the cutback by Christian Romero, but there was Davies to actually get the finishing touch on it. So a very unlikely goal scorer for Tottenham Hotspur, only his 10th for the club in his 361st appearance for them, and it was quite a poacher's finish too.
Poacher's finish, it almost hits him, to be honest. So you always take them, especially as a defender. If somebody puts it anywhere in the area, the big thing you try not to do is block the ball and clear it, because sometimes you try too hard to nick that goal, you end up clearing it. But yeah, fair play. He was just in the right position, just got just a good enough touch to deflect it past Roofs, and yeah, Spurs 1-0 up.
In the live table, that moves Spurs up into the top half and above Sunderland on goal difference. It is such a congested table at the moment, isn't it? When you look at any of the teams from sort of Bournemouth and now Leeds all the way up to Chelsea and Manchester United, really just one win or one defeat and suddenly you're staring at different areas of the Premier League table. Sunderland trailing them 1-0. They've not really offered too much going forwards and they're hoping to get a corner here, but Romero has lunged in to send it out for a throw by the corner flag. Sunderland haven't been at it, have they?
No, they haven't been at it, and a lot of it has been down to, a bit of sloppy play. Like you said, they're coming away from a good 0-0 with Manchester City and having the same 11. You are going to have that rustiness, particularly with the Christmas schedule the way that it is, but at the same time that does sometimes breed confidence, so I don't blame the manager for putting out that same 11. But yeah, so far today there's been them with their sloppiness that has caused the problems, to be honest.
Only lost 3 of their last 17 Premier League games. Away losses at Manchester United, Fulham and Manchester City, but trailing at Tottenham, who will feel that they deserve the lead given the way the game has gone in the opening half an hour without really taking it by the scruff of the neck. The ball is cleared in centre field by Hidtrauder. Pedro Porro's underneath it for Spurs and has given it away to Adingra, who has actually fouled Pedro Porro. So Stuart Atwell's given Spurs the free kick. I
think Stuart Atwell's bought that one, to be honest. I think Porro realises he's made a mistake and he goes down early, clutching his head. I think Stuart Atwell's bought that one. I'll have to watch it back here. Yeah, he's absolutely bought that one. Pedro Porro knows he's made a mistake, and he kind of throws himself towards the floor. Adingra does go with his arm towards the back of his head, but Pedro Porro went like he'd come in like a steam train. But yeah, it's a Tottenham free kick in their own half. So
it's going to be a free kick for Spurs, which Romero is going to take for Tottenham, who lead courtesy of Ben Davies's goal, and his inclusion in the side, as Curtis was saying, did raise a few eyebrows perhaps, but he is the man who has got the opener here at what is still a very subdued Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The fans not really in play at the moment.
What's the opposite of the commentator's curse?
Yeah, very true.
Because it's nothing against Ben Davies as an individual, as a player. It's more the attacking impetus of the team and what I thought they might want to do. But fair play, he's the one that was up there for the set piece, and he was the one that got on the end of it.
Well, he scored for Wales against Kazakhstan in March of last year. Scored a few for his nation, but you have to go back to the defeat away at Brighton in December of 2023 for his last Tottenham Hotspur goal before today, as the throw is taken on the left-hand side of the pitch by Spurs, leading 1-0. Here is the goal scorer Davies, who gets the ball stuck under his feet briefly before going back to Van der Ven, who'll go all the way back to Vicario, who has not had a save to make as of yet for Spurs, who have been comfortable in keeping Sunderland at bay. Sunderland will need to change that to avoid losing here. It's come for Odegaard to hit on the edge of the area. Flag is raised because of an offside in the build-up before Odegaard let fly, though.
Yeah, again, Spurs happy to go quite direct. Kolo Muani probably just offside, and as it falls to Odegaard, takes on the heroic type strike, but yeah, well wide into the stand. So nothing to worry about with the offside anyway.
Harry Wilson has put Fulham in front against Liverpool. That one was a delayed kickoff, so they're only around about 20 minutes into things at Craven Cottage. So Fulham 1, Liverpool 0. Spurs leading here 1-0. Goalless between Newcastle and Palace, and Brentford still 1-0 up at Everton. Earlier today, Leeds drew 1-1 with Manchester United, and the 5:30 game for you live on 5 Live is Manchester City against Chelsea. Manchester City looking to close the gap on Arsenal once again to 4 points as Sunderland come forwards for the first time in a long time with Enzo Lefebvre into the Spurs penalty area, but credit to Tottenham. Quite a few white shirts quickly around Enzo Lefebvre, and his effort is blocked away for a throw. Yeah,
Trey Hume given a little bit too much space and time, and it's Enzo Lefebvre that identifies that, and he makes a nice run into the pocket just between the defensive and midfield line, and just gets himself into the box. But fortunately for Spurs, Mickey van der Ven with his pace is there to get the block and send it out for a long throw.
Mukiele thought about the long one. Is he going to go short instead? He's actually now gone back to take a longer run up, having looked as though he was going to go for a quick one. So Mukiele does hurl it in now, and Richarlison gets his head to it. Good contact on it, gets it clear 25 yards out from goal. And then the long-range hit that comes in is not too far over the top from Hume. Well, he let fly there, and he certainly caught hold of it, but just a bit too much because it sailed over the bar.
Yeah, it's got great technique, Trey Hume. So as he sees the space, he takes on the shot, and it's probably only about a yard over the bar. Hit really, really well. Vicario dives thinking, he'll have to make a big save, but fortunately for him, it is just over the bar. But good strike and good impetus from Sunderland to have the shot.
Sunderland may be waking up after going behind to Ben Davies' goal as Tell plays it forwards for Spurs. Cut out well by Granit Xhaka. And now there's a bit of room for them to work with here. Mayenda getting towards the edge of the area. Van der Ven lunges in with an excellent challenge, and Granit Xhaka can't get there ahead of Romero, whose pass though goes awry, and Pedro Porro has to mop things up for Spurs. Bang forwards for Richarlison to chase. Their first to deal with it is Mukiele, who just jockeys it out, and it'll be a throw to Sunderland in their right back area. But a little bit better from Sunderland now. Yeah,
a little bit better, more on the front foot. I think, it's always the one when you're away from home, you protect a clean sheet and try and make the other team get themselves on the front foot, and you catch them on the transition. But what they've done in the last 5 minutes is had a bit more attacking impetus, put more men in attacking areas rather than having to do it from deep. So this is going to have to be a theme for the second half to make sure they can try and get back into this game.
So here's Enzo Lefebvre for Sunderland. Square pass to Granit Xhaka, and Xhaka will weave it wide to Simon Adingra. Adingra fancies a dart against Pedro Porro here, but left the ball behind as he went for a couple of step-overs, and Porro's won the ball back off him. Feeds Kolo Muani, still deep in Tottenham territory. Enzo Lefebvre sticks out a boot, and it goes out for a throw to Spurs. What are Sunderland not quite doing right so far this afternoon?
It's the sloppiness first and foremost in attacking areas. Just a couple of moments ago we had Trey Hume that had a good opportunity near the edge of the box and just fizzed a hopeful one into an area. Nothing came of it. I think it's utilising the wingers. I think, if I'm being honest, when you see Ben Davies playing in the team today, I'd be trying to get Mayenda right against him. Say, all right then, let's see what Ben Davies does when he's 1v1 with the pace and the skill of Mayenda, and try and test that. But they haven't had enough of that in wide areas. You see, when they break down in a defensive shape, they play more as a 4-4-2 in the defensive block. So by the time they try and play forward, he's probably not wide enough to challenge Ben Davies. But when he's got Mickey van der Ven behind him, it's still a big task to get past the both of them.
That's Curtis Davis with us on 5 Sports Extra, where it is Tottenham Hotspur 1, Sunderland 0. Just seen one of our colleagues, Chris Wise, sat a couple of seats along from us, yawning a little bit, which says a bit about how the game has gone, or maybe how late he was up last night. And Ben Davies has it for Spurs, trying to wake up the crowd here at the moment, because it has been a sluggish game to watch so far. No real rhythm or tempo to it, but Spurs, you would say, have been a better side and deserve their narrow 1-0 lead.
Yeah, in terms of attacking territories and the types of balls that have gone into the box, they've been the ones that have been creating the moments, albeit it came through a really poor defending from Sunderland, as well as a slight block, but they can't sulk about it. Somebody needs to react, and they didn't do that, so they'll be disappointed with that. But yeah, Spurs have definitely been the better team when it comes to attacking impetus.
Odegaard picks it up. That's an excellent challenge, sliding in on him by Trey Hume to win it back for Sunderland, who now come forwards with Enzo Lefebvre. Here is Simon Adingra, closed off by Pedro Porro, so he goes all the way back to his back line, and Dennis Sirkin square to Alderete. Alderete can advance and looks up to see where the forward ball is on to. There isn't one, so it's square to Mukiele and back to Robin Roofs, and it's still Tottenham 1, Sunderland 0. We've got just under 5 minutes of normal time left in the first half, and 1-0 to Spurs here, 1-0 to Brentford at Everton, goalless at St James's between Newcastle and Palace, and Fulham leading Liverpool 1-0. That one kicked off around 15 minutes after the other 3 o'clocks due to a medical emergency. And earlier on today, Leeds and Manchester United drew 1-1 at Elland Road. 2 quick goals from Aronson and then Cunha in the second half, seeing that one end all square. Manchester City against Chelsea is the 5:30 commentary for you on 5 Live from the Etihad Stadium. It's Adingra for Sunderland here, who just haven't quite hit their straps so far, and perhaps Regis Lebris will be relieved that they'll perhaps go in just 1-0 down at half time, and he'll have a chance to reset and recalibrate his men. Maybe think about bringing on some fresher legs out there as Kolo Muani surges through the centre of midfield, and having seemingly done the hard work and skipped away from a couple of challenges, that then played another loose pass, which has been a recurring theme of this first half. Curtis Davies.
Yeah, he did really well in the first instance, but then just didn't take that breath, tried to play it too quickly out to Odebear, but unfortunately for him it went straight to Mukiele, who was able to clean up and in fact just let it go into Roof's feet.
So bang forwards by Roofs. Lefay is underneath it. His flick, though, doesn't have enough juice on it to find Simon Adingra. Bentancur for Spurs plays it back towards the edge of his own box, where Ben Davies will send it further back to Vicario in his all-purple ensemble this afternoon. Has the ball inside the 6-yard box, plays it to Bentancur. A few nervous gasps from the Tottenham fans as they played a few first-time passes inside their own box, but Porro now has it, and he does go back into his own area, and Bentancur, who just tells Vicario to calm things down. Spurs leading 1-0, 3 minutes left of normal time in this first half. Davis for Tottenham, the goal scorer Ben Davis, his first goal in a couple of years for the club, has given the ball away, and it's collected by Granit Xhaka in centre field. Lefay scampers after it. Odebear just the right side of the law as he leaned into him and won the ball back, and plays it down the right channel now for Kolo Muani to chase. Richarlison in the middle. Kolo Muani motoring forwards. His ball for Richarlison's first time hit, and he's unlucky. It was a tricky one. He was backpedaling, went for the scissor kick as he fell backwards and didn't really catch it cleanly and sent it well wide.
Yeah, initially I thought Kolo Muani's taken it on a bit too soon, but Richarlison loves those ones. He's usually really good with those acrobatic overhead kicks, scissor kicks, and this one he just gets wrong. He just catches it on the shin and it goes past the right hand post. But yeah, good from Kolo Muani there, you know, just burst out and yeah, to get his head up and see Richarlison at the back post. Yeah, just unlucky.
So 1-0 to Tottenham Hotspur, a couple of minutes left to go until half time. You'll hear about all those games during the interval here as Spurs come forwards with Ben Davis in the left-back position, going down the left channel, finding Richarlison, who's buffeted by Mukiele, but has got clear of him and got to the byline. His cutback, though, is straight into Lefay's path, and Sunderland can come forwards, well, they should have done, but Granit Xhaka's lost the ball, and Spurs have got it with Matisse Tel, left wing for Tottenham Hotspur. Tel almost into the area. It's an excellent block on him, though, to prevent the move forwards, and Spurs will have to start again with Bentancur on the left flank. He goes back to Ben Davis, and Spurs boxed off by that Sunderland shape once again. Goes square to Christian Romero. They're leading, Curtis, but I still don't think that the natives will be any less restless given the style of play that they've seen. Yeah,
I guess it's listen, you've got a lead, so you don't have to go over the top to go and kill the game. Yes, Spurs would love a second goal, yeah, but the way Sunderland are playing is Sunderland are banking up into a low block. That will change in the second half. There's going to be a point where Sunderland have to be a little bit more free and allow players to be a little bit freed up to try and get a goal back. And that might be where Spurs get their opportunities. But right now, Sunderland, I think, just want to get to half-time, regroup. So I think for Spurs, they'll want to do the same. Make sure they keep that clean sheet before half-time, and then make sure that they do what they can to get that second goal and kill the game in the second half.
Well, Spurs with only 8 of their 26 points this season coming here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. They've actually only won 2 of their last 10 Premier League games, full stop. 5 defeats in that stretch as we see how much added time we're going to have at the end of this first half. The board is raised now, and it's 3 minutes that we're going to have added on at the end of this first period. Sunderland in possession with Mukiele inside the centre circle. No Tottenham challenge on him, so has time to play the ball forwards, and had all the time in the world, and played an absolutely wretched pass straight through to Vicario. And it has not been the highest quality fare. It's obviously been a bit better than Spurs' last game, that draw with Brentford, when I saw that some Brentford and Spurs fans had actually tweeted the club to say, can you put the darts on rather than the match itself in the concourses at the stadium, because it was so bad. This has been a bit better. We have had a goal at least, but it's still not exactly been thrill a minute here in North London.
Yeah, just an opportunity missed there. Adingra took Porro all the way into the pitch, had a set off, and he burst out towards the left hand side, but they didn't take it up. And
ball forwards looking for Brobby, who has been feeding off scraps so far as well.
Yeah, he has, and do you know, when the ball has come up to him, because he's so strong and he's so quick and physical and mobile, he's been able to hold the ball, but it's been few and far between. He might have had about 5 or 6 touches. I'm interested to see that stat, but He hasn't had too many touches in this game. It kind of tells you the way that Sunderland have approached it. It's been more a defensive performance in this half, trying to stop Spurs. But as we say, being one behind now, they're going to have to do something in the second half to put the impetus on Spurs, to make them defend properly and to cause problems for that defence.
It's Vicario for Tottenham Hotspur, 1-0 up through Ben Davies' goal. Rare goal from the Welshman, and Vicario will slip this long up towards Richarlison, whose flick on will be chased down by Matisse Tell. It was a good piece of work from the Brazilian to nudge that out wide, and Tell now just slows the play down. Here Trauder comes across to block him off and force him back to Ben Davies. Last minute of added time we're into now. Tottenham 1-0 up as Tell rolls his foot over the ball. Here Trauder goes across to try and stunt his progress. Tell gets the ball in towards Richarlison. Alderete underneath it, away to the D of the box, and now Granit Xhaka in possession. Pass back was a little bit risky from Granit Xhaka, but he gets away with it. Now can Sunderland get clear? No, they can't, because Mickey van der Ven is too quick and too strong for Mayenda and sends it back to his keeper.
And that's that 1v1 we wanted. We wanted to see Mayenda against Ben Davies. He gets past Ben Davies, but Van der Ven's there with the pace, and with the strength as well, and just a composure, because he didn't go steaming in and just try and kick through Mayenda. Just does well, uses his body really well, plays it back to Vicario.
Bang forwards for Richarlison to chase, and that's good defensive work this time by Mukiele to hold off the Brazilian and get the free kick. And he's not happy with one of his teammates. It looked like he was berating the referee for a minute, but he's really dishing some out to Dennis Serkin, I think.
Yeah, I don't quite know what Dennis Serkin did wrong. Maybe it was an earlier move because that ball came from deeper, but maybe there was something that had happened, or maybe he hadn't spoke about the run of Richarlison. I don't quite know why he was shouting at him.
So into added time, and Stuart Atwell has his whistle to his lips and brings the first half to an end. And, well, I'd say polite applause from the home fans at the interval. Spurs in front and on course for a much needed victory, courtesy of Ben Davies's close range finish, but the entertainment level hasn't exactly been high here in North London. But you know what they say, it's a results business, and at the moment Spurs are on course for the result that they need. Exactly that, and ultimately Sunderland haven't given too much for Vicario to do. I don't think he's had to make a telling catch, he hasn't had to make a save, so I think if it stays like this, as much as you're a Spurs fan and you want to win these games 2 and 3-0, be realistic, it's a win. In the last 10 games, as you said, there's only 2 wins in the last 10 games in the Premier League. So I think you take the win and you go on to the FA Cup with a smile on your face and try and improve again. So I think there's always being realistic. You always want more. And I think there could be more from Spurs if they're a little bit more cute. But there's going to be a reaction from Sunderland. Does that reaction make Spurs get another goal because they open up? Or do Spurs crumble and concede? That's Curtis Davis with us here on 5 Sports Extra, where it's 1-0 to Tottenham Hotspur here against Sunderland. We'll be back for the second half, but in the meantime we can join 5 Live.
McAllister, they keep looking for that ball through the middle, but it's just so congested with white shirts for Fulham.
Yeah, you don't have at the moment for Liverpool a naturally sort of wide player. Obviously Sellers not here, he's not out wide. Wirtz always looks to try and come inside. He's starting at the moment right out wide on the left touch line where he receives the ball right now, but he floats all the way around. Szoboszlai comes in. There's no one really right on the touchline, so therefore for Fulham at the moment, it's been pretty straightforward to defend against because everything's happening right in front of the front 3.
This is a scenario that Liverpool fans have seen on many occasions this season, where they might have the control of the game, but they can't find the creativity for that penetration to break sides down. Half-time at Tottenham then. Chris Wise.
And Tottenham Hotspur leading Sunderland by a 1-0. Ben Davies with it, 30 minutes in, simple finish inside the 6-yard box. By far and away one of Tottenham's best first-half performances this season. They've restricted Sunderland. Spurs 1, Sunderland 0.
We've got 10 minutes to go to half-time and a delayed kick-off here. Half-time at Bloomfield Road. Adam Cottier.
Blackpool 0, Bradford 1. A rare goal from defender Aidan Baldwin, a blistering shot into the roof of the goal. Blackpool hit the post in first half added time. Blackpool 0, Bradford 1.
Gakpo with the layoff to Jones. Jones then back to McAllister, who passes the ball out to this near side for Bradley, almost level with the Fulham penalty area. Back inside then to McAllister. Gravenberch, forward ball. Kirkes about 30 yards out from goal. Liverpool all in red, but then are being forced back and still again can't find that way past this Fulham side as they go across the back. Konate back towards Bradley. Szoboszlai able to turn, But Kenny was the one standing in front of him. So once again, they're just playing in front of Fulham.
Yeah, they're being a little bit slow with getting the ball forward, so it's easier for Fulham to set up, drop deep, keep their line nice and tight, just congest that area. They just know that the ball's coming there because Liverpool got players just tucking in those sort of areas in between the two lines, but it's so tight, there's just no room for them.
There's no focal point either with Noah Ekitike. He's out injured. Isak, of course, is going to be missing for at least the next 11 weeks, I would have thought. Half-time at Newcastle, Mike Maine.
0-0, 2 goals for Newcastle United, ruled out for offside. Crystal Palace have had to replace Jefferson Lerma in the first half due to picking up a head injury. Palace's best chance came right at the break. Will Hughes on the angle, but he sent it wide. Newcastle 0, Crystal Palace 0.
Fulham still leading by a goal to nil. Tight triangular passing from Liverpool, intercepted by Lukic. Gives it then to Harry Wilson, and passes the ball towards Castagna. Wilson then had set off on a run forward, but Fulham have been forced to go back, and Diop back towards his goalkeeper Leno. Middlesbrough visit here next weekend in the FA Cup third round. Today they're at home to Southampton. Rob Law.
Half-time 0-0. Middlesbrough dominated the opening half an hour, but Southampton finished strong with a number of chances. The best when Tom Fellows was played through 1v1 but lifted the ball well over the Borough crossbar. Middlesbrough need to win to go back up to second. Half-time Middlesbrough 0, Southampton 0.
That's no goal for Middlesbrough in their last 4.5 games, as Craig Pawson has adjudged that this ball has gone behind for a corner kick to Liverpool.
Yeah, it's really hard to see from where we're sitting. I'm not sure whether the linesman's flagged. We'll see now. We see on the replay, Curtis Jones plays the ball the outside of his foot, in behind.
In comes the corner, the cross from Jones in the meantime. Sorry, Mark.
It's definitely should have been a goal kick to Fulham.
But nothing materialised from it as Leno bowls the ball out to Robinson. Robinson fires it up towards Wilson. That was an audacious little flick with the back of his heel as he almost got Smith Rowe in. Robinson cuts out a pass intended for Szoboszlai, and Fulham with Jimenez just over the halfway line almost comes to a standstill. 6.5 minutes to go to half-time. Huddersfield now half-time with Nathan Alban.
Where it's 2-1 against Exeter, home side back in front just before the break. Radulovic from close range after two very similar goals from Marcus Harness and Exeter's Reece Cole, both receiving from the left and scoring from outside the box. Half-time, Huddersfield 2, Exeter 1.
And the half-time at Everton comes from Sarah Mulkerrins.
Everton 0, Brentford 1. Igor Thiago broke his run of 6 games without a goal when he poked home his 12th of the season. He also forced Pickford into a point-blank save. Barry had a great chance to level it for Everton late on, a diving header save. They've been sloppy. 1-0 Brentford lead.
Liverpool are on the attack. Bradley, right-hand side of the penalty area. Tried to pass the ball towards Gakpo. Easily cut out by Smith Rowe. Liverpool win the ball back, and it comes off the head of Jimenez. But the Fulham supporters are appreciating the work rate for their Fulham players.
Yeah, certainly Raul Jimenez, he's worked very, very hard in this first 45 minutes. He's chased everything down. There's another example of it where he's made 3 or 4 sprints in a row just chasing the ball. In the end, he managed to get his head on the end of the last one and puts it out for a throw-in. And for Fulham, it's just comfortable at the moment. Everything's played out in front of them. Liverpool's build-up is quite slow, and they kind of almost expecting the next pass into that area, into the middle of the pitch, which has been easy for them to defend against.
McAllister hits a high ball, which Bradley will head into the area, and able to pick the ball up is the Fulham goalkeeper, Ben Leno, away towards our right. Jimenez has just peeled away from Canate, just in case that Leno could have picked out that run to go long and direct, as Fulham still lead by a goal to nil. Under 5 minutes to go to half-time. The clearance does go long, and it's brought down out of the air with ease by Van Dijk. But he passes the ball to Kerkez. Gakpo, Wirtz. Again, it's hard to see Liverpool scoring in this game on the balance of play that we've witnessed in the majority of the first half. Fulham just dropping off. Happy to see Liverpool have the ball in that central area of the field. Not a great deal of movement either for McAllister if you looked at him there.
Yeah, I think Fulham at the moment have just got their line right.
Szoboszlai has made a run off the back of Cuenca, and Cuenca's sliding challenge forces the ball behind for a corner.
Another good example there where Szoboszlai's making that run down the right-hand side. The ball's played over the top. It hasn't got a lot of pace in it because there's not a lot of room.
In comes the corner kick from the right, flick header away by Robinson, helped further away by Jimenez, out for Liverpool, throw far side the left, which they're going to take quickly to Jones on that left-hand side. Jones holds off the challenge of Smith Rowe with just a firm hand in the chest of the former Arsenal player, but Liverpool go back into the centre circle with Konate. His forward ball towards Wirtz. He starts to run forward now. Szoboszlai has moved infield. Wirtz is the one who's actually going to provide the width on this near side, the right, level with the area. Szoboszlai almost comes to a standstill again. Liverpool looking for an equaliser, trailing to that Harry Wilson goal. They pass the ball out towards Kirkes on the left-hand side, but again there's no end product coming in from that left-hand side. It goes back towards Jones, to Konate. Fulham still holding a decent line at the minute. Liverpool are not looking to try and pierce that back line. They're passing the ball across the back towards Bradley. Cries of Liverpool, Liverpool from the travelling support. Wirtz in finds to Szoboszlai. Wouldn't sit for him, but he does get the ball out towards Kirkes. Hits it in low. Plenty of white shirts there, and they're able to get the ball clear. Only as far as Van Dijk, off the chest, edge of the area. Battles for the ball, runs away from him, and Castagna puts it out of play for a throw. There might be pressure from Liverpool, but Fulham's defence doesn't look stretched.
No, it doesn't, and that's because Liverpool, I think the movement is too slow. At times, Florian Wirtz is dribbling with the ball too much. Let the ball do the running, play the ball quicker, and they make the movement off the ball, and they're just not doing enough of that, Liverpool, at this moment in time.
We'll go across the capital, half-time at Millwall. Paul Gilmore.
Millwall 1, Swansea 0. Ivanovic on the turn from 10 yards to finally beat the overworked Vigouroux. The visitors' goalkeeper has produced an inspired performance. Swansea looked neat and tidy but didn't create much until the final stages of the half. Millwall 1, Swansea 0.
The other half-time scores in the Championship: Blackburn 1, Charlton 2, Derby 1, Wrexham 1, Norwich City 0, Stoke City 0. The games at Sheffield United and Hull City and Portsmouth were all postponed, especially that one at Hull City, very, very late. I think John Bennett said it was something like 20 minutes before kick-off when that game was called off. In League One, I'll give you the half-time scores in a moment, but we've only got 90 seconds remaining of normal time here in this delayed match. Jones looks for a forward ball, that was blocked, and then he trips Wilson. These are the half-time scores. We know Blackpool 0, Bradford 1, and Cardiff leading Wigan by a goal to 0, as well as Huddersfield 2, Exeter 1. Plymouth are 1-0 up against Burton, Reading 0, Stockport 0, and Wycombe lead Wimbledon by a goal to 0. The other games were called off, and in fact there's no games in League 2. The entire 3 p.m. programme was decimated due to the weather in League 2. But we've got 60 seconds remaining of this first half. Fulham 1, Liverpool 0. What are your thoughts, Mark Schwarzer?
Well, firstly, I think Marco Silva will be absolutely delighted with the way that Fulham have played in that first 45 minutes. They've controlled the game at times. They've also absorbed the pressure, or some of the pressure that Liverpool have put on them. Liverpool just haven't put enough on them. And I think they've been really comfortable. I don't think they would have thought they'd be as comfortable as they have been in this first 45 minutes.
I've got to say, Konate, for such a strapping central defender, the way he went down yelling when Jimenez has gone towards him.
Yeah, but Jimenez is not watching the ball. All he's watching is Konate make a move towards heading the ball and clearing it, and Jimenez just bundles into him. Yes, it's a little bit elaborate, however, it's absolutely 100% a foul. And of course, as a home fan, you're going to be always booing and cheering a little bit when a play goes down on the opposite side too easily.
For many a year, I used to work with Norman Hunter. Norman would have laughed at Konate's behaviour there. In fact, for Norman, he'd have just shrugged that one off. In fact, knowing Norman, he'd have probably given Jimenez a little bit back.
Well, I think the challenges were slightly different in that time as well, right? I mean,
Jimenez takes a quick throw. Kenny's made the run forward into the area. Back towards Wilson. Wilson passes the ball out wide. Castagna sends over the cross. Here is Jimenez down into the ground. Kenny tries to keep it alive. Might have taken a blow to the face in the process. Fulham lead by a goal to 0. Szoboszlai chasing after Anderson. Cuenca on the edge of the centre circle keeps it with Fulham, and we're in stoppage time now here at Craven Cottage. And Fulham are leading by a goal to 0. 2 minutes of added time that we're into here in West London. And Fulham leading through with that Harry Wilson goal.
We just had a moment there where McAllister has the ball just inside his own half. Gakpo makes a run on the right-hand side towards trying to get in behind the Fulham defence. Florian Wirtz is making a run wide out on the left-hand side, And McAllister just keeps taking more touches and then looks for the small, slow build-up again. That was a prime example for Liverpool having an opportunity to play the ball in behind.
Gakpo, inside right channel, pulls it back, edge of the area, nobody's there. And Fulham with Robinson can nick it clear over the head of Gravenberch. Here is Konate. Like a pantomime villain, he will be booed and jeered throughout the rest of the game now. Here is Szoboszlai trotting in from the right touchline. Sends it across towards Wirtz. Wirtz on the half volley, lifts it back in towards the penalty area. Well, Liverpool really have been disappointing in an attacking sense. They've been pedestrian and they've been predictable.
Yeah, they've also lacking in ideas. They really have. I mean, for the creativity they do have on the pitch, they just seem to always just look like I've been talking about this first 45 minutes, that short pass into the pockets. No one really looking to make the overlapping runs, and when they do, they tend to hold on to the possession again.
Well, there is the half-time whistle, and Fulham are ahead, and it was a well-taken goal by Harry Wilson after 18 minutes. Gakpo's had one opportunity, which he scuffed it across the face of goal. He has had a header that hit the post, but the flag was up anyway. I'm sure it had gone down as offside. So at the break at Craven Cottage, it is Fulham 1, Liverpool 0.
Mark Schwarzer, what a finish by Harry Wilson.
Yeah, brilliant, really was. I mean, the run was excellent. Jimenez's passing behind was sublime as well, caught everyone out. And Harry Wilson, I mean, as a man in form, we talked about in the game, before the game, how important he's been for Fulham, and that was an excellent finish and gave Alisson absolutely no chance whatsoever.
So half-times in the Premier League then. Fulham 1, Liverpool 0, Spurs 1, Sunderland 0, Newcastle 0, Crystal Palace 0 and Everton 0, Brentford 1. Let's check in on the rugby at Welford Road. Chris Jones.
Half-time, Leicester 26, Saracens 7. They scored their fourth try, their bonus point try right on half-time. The Tigers, Joe Hayes going over after some magnificent build-up play. They've been overwhelmingly dominant. They've taken Sarries apart in this first half. Have the Tigers be a huge win. They're halfway there. And if they could do that, they'll well and truly keep pace with that top four. Half-time, Leicester 26, Saracens 7.
Goals in the games in the Football League rather getting back underway. We'll keep you right up to date before second half commentary from Craven Cottage after the news on 5 Live with Bethan Holmes.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The US Secretary of State Marco Rubio says Washington's ready to work with Venezuela's remaining leaders if they make what he called the right decisions. He's been speaking to NBC's Meet the Press.
When Maduro was there, we still have those problems in terms of them needing to be addressed. We are going to give people an opportunity to address those challenges and those problems. Until they address it, they will continue to face this oil quarantine. They will continue to face pressure from the United States.
So welcome back to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium here on 5 Sports Extra, where Tottenham lead Sunderland by a goal to 0. Regis Lebris, we can see, deep in conversation with his coaching staff, although no changes in terms of the personnel from Sunderland, but he would have been the manager who had more to try and sort out at the interval. Curtis Davis.
Yeah, definitely. As we said, when you start the game here, you try and make sure you're solid and you've got a solid base, but they never really had much attacking impetus into the game. So coming into the second half, being 1-0 down against Spurs, they're going to try and need to do something, but they're still going to need to keep that back door shut, because Spurs' attacking impetus in the first half was decent, but just lacked that little bit of quality. So Spurs couldn't take it up a notch. I can see them scoring in the second goal.
So Vicario in goal for Spurs, Davis the goal scorer, Van der Ven, Romero and Porro at the back. It's Bentancur and Gray in midfield, with Odobert, Richarlison, Tell and Kolomuani in the side as well, after Kudus was taken off in the first half. Sunderland with Roofs in goal, Sirkin, Alderete, Mukiele and Hume at the back, Hetrauda and Xhaka in midfield, Adingra, Lafay and Mayenda supporting Brian Brobby, who has not had much service to feed off so far. Vicario clears it away for Tottenham Hotspur. Up towards halfway, it's Pedro Porro, slack pass from him, and Lafay has fed Adingra on the left flank. Simon Adingra held up by Rodrigo Bentancur. Good dummy from Lafay, well at least I thought it was, but actually he left it for Wilson Odobert. Odobert's dab forwards to Richarlison, he was cleaned out there. Richarlison then fouled as well. Stuart Atwell can take his pick as to which of the challenges to blow for and perhaps pull out a card for, and it will be the first booking of the game, and Dennis Sirkin collects the caution.
Yeah, it's cynical. We as defenders would call it a good foul sometimes if somebody's about to break away. But yeah, Sirkin had a bite of the cherry and then didn't quite get it, end up pulling Richarlison back. But yeah, it's one just to stop the stem of play, and yeah, he did a good job for his team.
Well, Sunderland only 3 defeats in their last 17 in the league. They've only conceded 18 as well in the division this term. Only Arsenal and Manchester City have better defensive records going into this latest round of fixtures, but Spurs have asked a few questions of them so far. Sunderland trying to find a few poses of their own to give Vicario something to do. He's been a spectator thus far. Bentancur has fouled Lefay. Spurs thought they were away, but the whistle has gone from Stuart Atwell, so free kick for Sunderland just inside Tottenham territory. Sunderland, who have this free kick then with Granit Xhaka, which is about 10 yards inside Tottenham territory. The half-time scores: Brentford 1-up at Everton, Newcastle 0, Palace 0, and Fulham leading Liverpool 1-0. All those games available for you on BBC Sounds. Lefay has it for Sunderland in the left wing area. He's gone to ground after a challenge from Pedro Porro, and then goes back down to ground again as Porro challenges him. Lefay's won it back though off the Spaniard, and it goes back to Granit Xhaka. Here's Enzo Lefay now, chance to get the ball in, opts against delivering the cross, and that means that Spurs have got some bodies back to close down the space, and it's gone out of play after a challenge by Pedro Porro. Sunderland thinking about maybe taking the long one here, and it will be left for Granit Xhaka to deliver. Curtis Davis.
Yeah, it's a better start, and it's Mukiele who's going to come across and take the long throw. But we spoke about Brobbey in the first half, and we did say we'd check his touches. He just had his 5th touch a moment ago, so it kind of tells you how Sunderland have been. But they've been a lot. Listen, it's only been 3 minutes, but a lot more on the front foot, trying to step it up in the second half.
Mukiele's throw has a little loop on it, which didn't look like it was going to be helpful for Sunderland, but it has come out for them as it's looped in by Mukiele. That's a much better ball than the header on target, which Vicario spills. No harm done though, because there was no one in a blue shirt for Sunderland able to profit from that spill by Vicario. But first save that he's had to make, even if it was a very routine one.
Yeah, it's a routine save, should make the save, but it's a good header by Amanda. All we could do, because as the ball comes back out to Mukiele, he does really well, just moves it onto his right foot and just loops it in, because on the angle, that's all we could do rather than fizz it across. And Mayenda gets just in front of Brobbey and gets a good head to it, but to try and generate that kind of power from that distance on the loop of the ball, Vicario did the right thing. He just took the sting out of the ball and then just collected it, knowing that nobody was around. 5
minutes gone in the second half. Tottenham 1, Sunderland 0, and Spurs in possession with Pedro Porro and his arc forwards to Odegaard, who just chests it off for Richarlison, and that's going to be a yellow card for Omar Alderete. So 2 of the Sunderland back 4 have gone into the book early in this second half.
Yeah, Alderete knew he got it wrong there. He just misread it because he started to step in thinking Richarlison was going to get the ball first, but Odegaard got a great chest on it, played it into the space, and again, it's a cynical one, but one that if he doesn't do it, Richarlison's probably bearing down on a goal with a chance of scoring.
So it will be a free kick for Tottenham just inside the Sunderland half, which Romero is stood over waiting to take. Fizzed it low to Bentancur, whose back heel doesn't come off. Alderete in the way, and now speeding forwards is Mayenda on the right flank, held up by Van der Ven, pokes infield to Granit Xhaka. Xhaka has plenty of room to work with, whips it near side to Adingra, instant control from him. Adingra has an option on the overlap, goes for the cross himself towards the far stick. Vicario's come and hasn't got there, and Ben Davies has to clear away from on top of his own goal line. Vicario then spills the resulting ball. Much better from Sunderland, asking questions of Spurs, and Ben Davies, who scored the goal that put Spurs in front, in the right place to ensure that they remain in front.
Yeah, it was good work by Mayenda down the right hand side in the first place, and took as he plays it across. It's good play from Sunderland. Porro's on the break now. Porro coming forwards, feeding Richarlison. Sunderland went close, but now have to defend. Richarlison's cutback rebounds off the backtracking Dennis Sirkin for a corner kick to Spurs. Yeah, it was initial good play from Mayanda down the right-hand side, but rather than taking Van der Ven on, he cuts into the pitch and he plays it out to the left-hand side, and it's Adingra that puts the ball in. As I look back, it probably would have been offside had the goal have gone in, but Vicario gets it all wrong. You know, he goes out thinking he can claim it and just flaps at it, but fortunately for him, Ben Davies was in the middle because Brian Brobby was there ready to head into an empty net. But as I said, I think it would have been ruled out for an offside.
So it's going to be Porro with this corner for Spurs then. Sunderland seem to have woken up, but they still trail by a 1-0. It will be Porro's outswinger from the right side for Spurs, and the header is from Van der Ven, but it had a lot of loop on it that took the pace out of it, and Roofs was able to make a straightforward catch. So brought forwards now by the figure of Mukiele, launched to Brobby, who was offside, and now the flag is raised by the assistant referee.
Yeah, with the outswinging corner, it's always difficult because, you know, as Van der Ven, because it's outswung, he comes back and then tries to head it then back towards goal. It was difficult to get the power. He managed to get it on target, which, you know, you never know. You've just got to get it on target and see what happens. But yeah, it was an easy routine save for Roofs.
So Spurs in front and on course for a much needed win. They came into this game, Spurs, with 2 wins in their last 10 in the league, as Porro almost robs possession in the D of the Sunderland penalty area, but cleared away by Alderete, to no one in particular. So it'll be fetched here by Christian Romero, just inside his own half, bypasses Lefay, gets it into Matthias Tell, now laid off for Archie Gray. Gray advancing towards the corner of the area, sloppy in possession. Alderete stepping in to win it back, but Gray's got it back for Spurs now. This is in an advanced area for Tottenham. Porro's ball in was into a useful area. Granit Xhaka in the right spot to clear away though for Sunderland, on halfway with Romero, chested down but then given away to Brian Brobby. Could be trouble here for Spurs. Brobby lays it off for Mayenda. All their own doing here. Mayenda, Brobby angles tight, goes for goal into the side netting. Well, Christian Romero, the most relieved man in the house after his wretched pass, gave the ball to Brian Brobby, and Sunderland surged forwards, but it's deflected away for a corner.
And we spoke about how sloppy players been at times, and it's just, he chests it down and he's got acres for it to go back to Vicario, plays it straight to Brobby. Brobby does the right thing by taking his time, lays it to Mayenda, who's then wiped out by Romero. But Brobby smashes it across the goal, and I think it must have been saved by Vicario. I thought it hit the side netting, but Vicario got a hand to it, and it's a Sunderland corner.
So Sunderland certainly have stepped it up in this second half compared to the flat first half showing, pushing for an equaliser here, although the corner is dreadful and cleared away easily by Richarlison. It'll be picked up on the rebound by the figure of Mukiele, and then it's delivered in, but nowhere near anyone in blue. On the ball now is Trey Hume. Hume's ball forwards is met by the head of the advanced Sirkin. Now it's with Lefay. Centre field for Sunderland. Enzo Lefay plays it square. It's with Granit Xhaka. On it goes for Hirtrauder. Sunderland enjoying a good spell of possession and a good ball in, which Van der Ven has to get ahead to. It's collected by Randall Kolomoani. Good chop inside from him to get clear of his man, but Alderete steps in to prevent it reaching Richarlison, although they give the ball away, and that means that Richarlison can be found, and Richarlison into the area. Kolomoani waiting, can't find him, and the Spurs fans around us are on their feet in fury that didn't lead to a second Tottenham goal.
Yeah, Richarlison gets into a great position, just needs to lift it in towards that back post area. Kolomoani was waiting there, but really poor defending from Sunderland, because as they're tracking back, it's Hirtrauder it was Hirtrauder and Mukiele that were both running back, but they both wanted to run towards Richarlison, rather than one going towards Kolomoani at the back post and one going towards Richarlison. They both made the run to the front post, which made it really easy for Richarlison just to get his head up and just lift the ball over the two of them. What he did was tried to thread it between the gap, but it was cut out, and a real opportunity missed there by Spurs, because that would have been an easy opportunity then for Kolomoani at the back post, 1v1, 6 yards out. I would have fancied him to head the ball into the back of the net.
They're creating a bit more than usual, Spurs. They've got the 4th lowest XG in the Premier League this season, ranking the bottom 5 for shots on target and touches in the opposition box, but they felt a bit more threatening going forwards without getting that much needed second goal.
Yeah, like I say, so far in this half, it's been more Sunderland in terms of the area, but that chance there for Richarlison was a big one. And like we said, it was going to be down to, is it going to be a transitional moment now for Spurs in the second half, knowing that Sunderland are going to be on the front foot? And that's what happened there. But with that, they need to kill their game off and get that second goal.
Well, they've got themselves a free kick in a handy area here, as Everton find themselves 3-0 down now to Brentford. Nathan Collins and Igor Thiago with his second goal of the game. What a great result that would be for Brentford, who we know have been so strong at home this season but have struggled on their travels. But 3-0 up at the Hill Dickinson Stadium now, and Keith Andrews, who many felt would find it a bit of a struggle this season, making light work of it. Brentford going very well in the standings, and Spurs looking to try and move into the top half themselves. This result would see them do that if they were to hold on to victory, and they have a chance to extend their margin here with this free kick from the left side that Pedro Porro is waiting to take. It is just in conversation with some of his teammates. Bentancur, I think, in the middle is giving him a signal as to where he wants this ball to go. Porro just spots it up then and will deliver from the left wing in swinger. There's 4 Spurs players in white shirts by the corner of the penalty area. They now break and all mingle in with the blue-shirted Sunderland players. Porro's ball is headed clear by Brobby, only as far as Matt Eastel for Tottenham, leading with nearly an hour gone by a 0-0, as it's curled towards the right-hand side. And Randall Kolomoani backtracks and finds Odobert. Early ball in from him, and Archie Gray's flick header doesn't come off and goes harmlessly behind.
Yeah, a really awkward height there for Archie Gray. As it comes in, he kind of, again, is stepping back, but he's in a standing position where he can't quite chest it, can't quite get up to head power, just tries to flick it on, but fortunately for Sunderland, it just goes out for a goal kick. But interesting here to see the substitution being made by Sunderland.
Romain Mundel is coming on here, and off is Dennis Sirkin, so that will add a bit more industry in terms of the attacking oomph that they're able to provide with that alteration.
Yeah, well, Trey Humes just had to come out here and play as a left back, which he's obviously very comfortable as a fullback. Very good footballer, very good energy to get up and down as well. But Mundel's a really exciting player. I like the 1v1 skill that he's got, the attacking intent when he gets the ball, wants to run at people, take on people. So it's going to be interesting to see Porro in this half now, to see, how when he's getting forward, who's going to be there to cover him. Is it going to be leaving Romero 1v1 and leaving him exposed, because Mundel loves that space to run into, but he also loves taking the ball at people.
He's scored 5 goals in the Championship last season, but has only come on from the bench for Regis Lebris so far this season. Still looking for his first ever Premier League goal. He's got at least half an hour to try and rustle one up for Sunderland, who have been improved but still trailed by a 0-0 with an hour played at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And you just wonder if Spurs might get a bit edgy, given how much they need this win, how low perhaps confidence is, and also how quiet the crowd have been. Although Richarlison might give him cause for cheer here. He's won the ball high up the pitch and now gets the ball back, lays it off for Porro. Spurs attacking, Roof spills and nearly came the way of Richarlison for a tap-in, but just bypassed the Brazilian, and the opportunity goes. Spurs win it back now, and then Porro is chopped down by Enzo Lefebvre, who's given away a free kick and is going to become the 3rd Sunderland player in the book.
Yeah, really good feet there from Porro. As Enzo Lefebvre slides in to make the tackle, his feet were brilliant. Really quickly moved the wall around him, and he's won his team a foul in the attacking third. But it was an opportunity there because of Sunderland's poor play again, which we spoke about in the first half had become a theme. It's Xhaka that tries to flick one round the corner. Maybe Roofs gave him a little bit of a short pass, to be honest. But yeah, they don't really make them pay for it. Porro puts it across. Roofs managed to get the block, and then Sunderland were able to come out, but they weren't able to clear it far enough, because right now they're defending their own box again from another Tottenham set piece.
So Porro is going to deliver this for Spurs. 1-0 up through Ben Davies' first goal for a couple of years for Tottenham Hotspur, and Porro aiming perhaps towards Davies. In fact, Van der Ven went for it, left something in on Granit Xhaka, too much in fact, and the flag was raised. I thought it was for a foul, but actually the whistle has gone for offside in there. So Sunderland upping the ante and just giving Spurs a bit more food for thought as they try to hold on for a victory. Sunderland who have struggled though to recreate their really good home form on their travels. The fewest away goals in the Premier League on their travels this term, along with Wolves, just 4 netted away from the Stadium of Light so far for Regis Lebris's side. Didn't create much in the first half, asking more questions in the second, but still 1-0 down as Archie Gray has it for Spurs. Feels like it's a bit more of an open game now, both sides committing a bit more attack-wise rather than the cautious approach that seemed to be employed in the first period.
Yeah, and you're also seeing from Sunderland a bit of a higher press. They're not sinking into that low block anymore. They're trying to press up on this Spurs defensive line, and you see here Enzo Lefebvre making Bentancur go all the way back to his keeper, which allows Sunderland up the pitch, and they're going to see more and more of that as the half goes on, and it's going to be Spurs probably that are more going to play in transitions when Sunderland do play that high line.
So Brentford 3-0 up at Everton, and Palace and Newcastle still 0-0 at St James's in the other 3 o'clock kickoffs. Fulham 1-0 up against Liverpool, though that kicked off at 3:15. And they are just into the second half there. Manchester City against Chelsea, live in full for you on 5 Live from 5:30. Earlier on today it finished Leeds 1, Manchester United 1, as Sunderland attack with the substitute Mundle. Romain Mundle down the line looking for Trey Hume. Hume gets the ball across and it deflects behind for a corner kick. Mundle already making his influence felt.
Yeah, good work down this left-hand side. Mundle with Trey Hume, as we said. Trey Hume's got the energy to get up and down that channel, but he was matched by Bentancur, who was there to cut out the cross and concede the corner for Tottenham. But this is where Sunderland need to make things happen, get their fans off their feet, and the last couple of deliveries from the set pieces haven't been good enough.
So corner kick will be taken from this near side for Sunderland. 1-0 down with 63 minutes played. In from Lefebvre, Vicario stretching has got something on it, but Granit Xhaka will pick up the pieces on the right side for Sunderland. Back he goes, and back the ball goes towards the hit from distance, and not far wide from Simon Adingra from the edge of the penalty area, and the Sunderland supporters remain on their feet and cheering because they feel that they're getting back into this game.
Nobody's saying anything from the Spurs team. You see they're recovering from a set piece, a defensive set piece, and Adingra's been allowed, the ball's been allowed to be played to Adingra in their penalty box and have a shot with unopposed. Nobody has said a thing to anyone else about who was marking him, who was stopping the pass. That's really put it. Listen, it goes past the post, so they get away with it, yes, but if that goes in the back of the net, it's a problem, and that was a moment from nothing. It was a set piece that was easily dealt with. But on the second phase, it's still part of the set piece. You have to defend your box properly. For Adingra, a player of his quality, to be allowed to turn in the box and have a shot with his left foot is criminal. And the fact that no Spurs player said anything after is more worrying to me.
Curtis Davis with us on 5 Sports Extra, where it's Spurs 1, Sunderland 0. Spurs would move up to 9th in the table, above Sunderland with a success here this evening, as the clouds start to gather over the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in what has been a cold day so far, and the clouds would ease a bit on Thomas Frank if they were to pick up a third victory in 11 games for Tottenham Hotspur. It's a goal kick for Sunderland taken by Robin Roofs, and his ball towards the Fay is closed down by Kolomoani. Here's Mundle, and he's closed down as well by Bentancur. Out it goes for a throw. Curtis Davis.
Yeah, Bentancur so good at just mopping up those little bits. When it becomes loose, just timed it really well. Got in there, good tackle on Mundle to stop him turning and running to the team. But it's going to be important now. They make sure that they calm this Sunderland down, because Sunderland are really got their tails up now and starting to look more and more threatening towards this Tottenham defence.
Lost just 2 of their past 12 in the Premier League, Sunderland, and would have been buoyed by the outcome against Manchester City and the performance in that 0-0, but you do wonder how much it took out of their legs, and this will be a welcome sight for Sunderland supporters as well. Dan Ballard is about to come on for the visitors now, and Simon Adingra is the man taken off, and Ballard's such a key player for them.
Yeah, a key player, but I'm just working out what they're going to do now, because they've taken off Simon Adingra from him when they're chasing the game to go and get a goal. So I think they must be going to a back three, or looking at Mukiele's gone to right back. So yeah, I think listen, Dan Ballard's an excellent player, and to get him on the pitch and have him back out there is really important. But you want to go and win the game, so it's still a little bit of a head scratcher for me.
So Spurs leading as the ball is delivered by the advancing Trey Hume up from the back well again, but Spurs deal with it. Granit Xhaka now collects for Sunderland, much improved but still losing 1-0 midway through the second half at Spurs as Xhaka bends it down the left hand side. It's been offloaded to Romain Mundle, who gets away from the challenge of Romero. Now Enzo Lefebvre crossing position from the left. He goes back to Xhaka, who sends a really high looping ball into the area, which Ballard's immediately involved in. And Sunderland in possession once again, and going from right to left. It was Mukiele who feeds Mundle backwards of square for Trey Hume again. Now lifted into the penalty area by Xhaka, more up than out from Pedro Porro. Mundle put the pressure on Kolo Muani, and Hume has got it back, and Sunderland have the ball and have a bit of momentum in towards Brobby, up well but couldn't direct the header the way he wanted to. But Spurs just sitting a bit deep, and that's offering Sunderland a bit of extra encouragement.
It was offering an encouragement, and the fact that Dan Ballard's come onto the pitch and straight away he was in an attacking position trying to challenge for header and stayed up there for about the first 2 minutes of the time, so it showed how much control that Sunderland had. They were in areas where they were moving it wide and wide, but they didn't quite get the right ball in to try and threaten with Ballard at the back stick. But yeah, that seems that it might be a position where, you know, they might start pushing Ballard on to try and get in those positions, because from there the impetus straight away, he just steps straight forward. So that might be the message that he's got: whenever you can and where wide, step in, knowing that Xhaka will cover the hole for him.
Well, lost only 4 Premier League games this season, Sunderland. Only Arsenal have lost fewer, but they are on course for defeat with just a touch over 20 minutes remaining at Spurs. Hume floats it forwards, not enough float on it though, because Porro has jumped and headed it out of play for a throw on the halfway line. Thomas Frank and Regis Lebris both at the edge of their technical areas, and Thomas Frank barking instructions to his players. Just feels a little bit edgy for Spurs, which you can understand given the way things have gone so far this season. Advancing down that right hand side now though with Mukiele backwards and into the feet of Hirtrauder. This is all inside the Tottenham half at the moment as Alderete steps forwards and waits for an opportunity to find a teammate. Mundle gives him the offer on the left hand side, gets to the byline now and gets the corner kick as well.
And that's what we expect to see from Mundle going at Porro, but Porro was a match for it, manages to match his run and match his skills and gets the block, but it's a corner again, and let's see if they defend the second phase of this better this time.
So corner from the near side for Sunderland, who have been so much better in this second half, much more of a threat going forwards as Lefebvre's corner is towards the near post. The flick on doesn't come off though for Alderete. Now Spurs could be away on the counter, speeding forwards here. Pedro Porro has Romero up there as well. 2 of the defenders into the attack here. Porro's ball across, Kolo Muani, bad first touch from him, can't get the shot away on goal. He's out wide on the left now instead. Held up by Brobby, gets to the byline and goes towards the near post, and Roof sticks out an arm to send it behind for a corner kick.
Yeah, it's a great breakaway by Porro, but as he looks up, Romero is the closest person to him, so he keeps the ball, he keeps it, and you maybe think he's run it too far. But what he does, he sees Kolo Muani running along the left-hand side towards the edge of the box, and he manages to lift it over the couple of Sunderland defenders that are there, but Kolo Muani's touch is loose. But when Kolo Muani gets it back, he runs in, he tries to attack from the byline against Brobby, attacker versus attacker, and he just manages to force Roof into a save, which it was never going to go in, but he has to cover his net. But looking at it, it went out of play before it touched Roof's hand. But what we have at the moment is Odegaard down on the floor. It was a collision with Mundle on the edge of the box, didn't mean it, but caught him, I think, with a flagrant arm, and yeah, he's going to just need a little bit of treatment.
So Odegaard receiving treatment, and as Curtis was saying, it won't be a corner kick, despite the fact that Roof's beat the ball away because it had gone beyond the byline before the strike came in from Randall Kolo Muani. So goal kick for Sunderland, although still a delay in the restart because we are waiting for Wilson Odegaard to be given the OK to continue. Spurs getting set to make a couple of changes. I wonder if Audebert is going to depart here as the medical staff check his vision as Bergvall and Paulinho get set to come on. Oh, it is Audebert who's going off here, and it is Lucas Bergvall who will step on for him. And now we wait to see who João Paulinho will take the place off. It'll be Archie Gray who departs here. So Gray and Audebert going off, Bergvall and Paulinho coming on for Spurs.
I think, I guess, a sensible substitution in terms of Audebert by bringing Bergvall on. Paulinho, obviously, a very good holding midfielder, and Bergvall can still give you a bit of attacking impetus, but he's got the natural midfield mentality rather than Audebert being more of a forward. So a bit more to protect than to obviously go and get a second goal. But still got enough on there that if they did need to try and, again, on these transitions, try and get a second goal, they've still got good attacking quality out there.
So just under 20 minutes to play. Tottenham 1, Sunderland 0. Ben Davies, his first goal since the back end of 2023 for Tottenham, and scored a couple for Wales between then and now. But his close range finish is edging towards being the match winner here this afternoon. Down the line for Lucas Bergvall, who's just come on. He received it from Matthijs Tel. Bergvall backpedaling now and finding João Paulinho, his fellow second half substitute. Van der Ven square to Christian Romero. How do Spurs play this with just a touch over 15 minutes left to play and 1-0 up? Do they go into their shells and try and see it out, or push on to try and get the clinching second goal in the game? Given the way their season has panned out, you'd think it would be the former rather than the latter.
Yeah, well, looking at the substitutions, they maybe were brought on looking like to be a little bit more defensive. But what I have seen is Paulinho's covered every blade of grass in the first 2 minutes he's been on the pitch. He seems to be he's making things happen straight away. So whilst Thomas Frank has probably thrown him on more to make them solid, he's made a couple of attacks happen and he's been here, there and everywhere. So he's showing a great energy to keep Spurs motivated and to keep them on the front foot.
So 1-0 to Tottenham here, and 3-1 now to Brentford at Everton, with Beto pulling one back for the Toffees at home to the Bees. Newcastle have also taken the lead now against Crystal Palace. Bruno Guimaraes 1-0 up they are against the Eagles as well, and Fulham still leading Liverpool by a 1-0 at the moment too. It's a free kick for Spurs, is it, on the left hand side? Richarlison has gone down, and Stuart Atwell just checking that the Brazilian is okay to continue. In fact, it might just be a throw for Spurs. Well, it's not been a classic, but Spurs are grinding their way to a victory that would see them into the top half of the standings and within striking distance of the European places. And people will, from the outside looking in, perhaps start to say, well, why is there all the criticism of Thomas Frank at the moment when they are hovering into view of the likes of Liverpool and Chelsea? Porro goes into the centre as the throw comes in, and here is Pedro Porro now picking it up in centre field. Bergvall spins it wide. Ben Davies has it down the line for João Paulinho. This is left side for Spurs as they look at things. Back to Bergvall now. Quarter of an hour left to play. Spurs 1-0 up. Pedro Porro picks it up on the right side and starts bombing forwards down that flank. He's shrugged off it, but no foul by Brobby, who pushed him over, and then Porro and Brobby have a bit of a coming together after that. Ill-advised by Brobby to get involved with Pedro Porro there. The decision hadn't gone against him, so he could have just carried on, but he got involved.
It's silly really, because I think he thinks Pedro Porro, because he jumps to his feet to run back, I think he thought he was coming to have a bit of conflict and to get in his face, but Pedro Porro was actually running back past him to just get his position. But because Brobby feels him come on the right hand side of him, he just kind of puts his hand out, and to be fair, he catches him in the face. Stuart Atwell hasn't done anything. I don't think VAR need to get involved, but he has caught him in the face, so I think he's going to let play go on, yeah, because he does catch him in the face and neck area, thinking that Porro was coming back at him, but sense prevails in this scenario, and it was nothing really.
Yeah, just a bit of a squabble and a sort of a grab rather than a slap from Brobby, so nothing more needed from the officials. as Sunderland battle for it on halfway, and then Hume goes over after a challenge by Pedro Porro. It will be a free kick and nothing more. Hume was wondering if it might have merited a booking, but it will just be a free kick, which Granit Xhaka is over for Tottenham Hotspur, for Sunderland, to chasing the game against Spurs. 1-0 down, 15 minutes or so left to play as Xhaka bangs this into the edge of the area. Underneath it is Rodrigo Bentancur. Bergvall couldn't make it stick as the ball came his way. Might break for Matisse Tell now. Tell surging forwards, clipped over the top for Kolo Muani to race onto, but Robin Roofs will get there first and come and make the gather.
Yep, again, Spurs on the transitions because of Sunderland going for the set piece, and Ballard was up, everybody was up, but the touch from Tell was poor in the end, and Kolo Muani far too long for him. Roofs gathered it easy and put his team on the attack.
So in the 3 o'clock kickoffs, as this one is, with Spurs leading 1-0, it is Newcastle 1, Palace 0, Everton 1, Brentford 3, and Fulham 1, Liverpool 1 now. Liverpool equalising in that game that was delayed. They've only played around about an hour at the Cottage. Florian Wirtz has scored to make it 1 each in that one, and full commentary on 5 Live of Manchester City against Chelsea, which is a 5:30 kickoff. The early kickoff today ended 1-1 between Leeds and Manchester United at Ellen Road. Vicario taking his time over the goal kick here, which is sent long towards halfway. Met by the head, though, of Hume, who sends it back towards the Spurs area, and Porro sends it out under pressure from Brobby, which leads to a bit of volume from the away end here at Tottenham. Hume waits to take the throw. This is deep in Tottenham territory on the left-hand side, waiting and waiting for an option, which belatedly arrives, and it's back now with Alderete inside the Sunderland half. Square pass from him, and Dan Ballard brings it forwards. Ballard plays it out wide, and the low flat cross comes in. Van der Ven had a swing and a miss at it. Big chance here perhaps, and not taken by Romain Mundle. Could have got the shot away early, tried to chop inside, and then the opportunity went.
Yeah, as the ball flashes across, I think he doesn't expect it to get there, so never had the first time shot in his head. But once he cuts back, I think he's maybe hoping for a little bit of contact, because he takes a touch and he chops it back, but the contact never really comes, because maybe as you're trying to get that shot away, you're maybe hoping for a little bit of contact to get a penalty for your team and get back into the game. But yeah, the chance had just gone, because again, as it flashed across the box, it went across a couple of bodies and probably not in a great position to take it first time.
So it's Alderete now for Sunderland, forwards to Mundle, who's certainly made a difference since his introduction. Now hoping that Dan Ballard might be able to do so as well. The ball bypasses him though, and is swept wide by Xhaka. And then the ball in towards the near post. Great header, wonderful save. Enzo Lefebvre with a near post header, which Vicario reacted really well to get down and parry. Although I think that there must have been an offside in there, because the decision is not a... it's hit the post.
Yeah,
I thought it was Vicario who'd made the save, but as Curtis rightly points out, Enzo Lefebvre's header was onto the base of the post and wide, so Vicario didn't get there and would have been struggling had it been on target. Sunderland mightily close to making it 1-1.
Yeah, Sunderland with a lot of bodies, already had 3 bodies in the box, so they're occupying the Spurs defenders. But Enzo Lefebvre, so clever, just makes the late run and just arrives just around about 10 yards out on the right-hand side of the post. Gets a nice flick header from the right-hand cross from Mukiele, and unfortunately just hits the base of the post. But Vicario has beaten all ends up if it had gone those few inches to the left.
On the edge of the area with Brobby, and it's back here for Brobby into the area. 1-1, wonderful goal from Brian Brobby, and Sunderland are back level at Spurs. They've been much better in the second period and will feel that they're probably good value for their leveller. And it's Brobby with an absolutely ruthless finish into the roof of the net to send the away fans wild. It's Tottenham Hotspur 1, Sunderland 1.
And it's only his 10th touch of the ball in the game. Well, it's 9th and 10th, because he takes a touch, really composed, but the ball breaks down in the middle. Xhaka plays it wide. Mukiele then does some great delay in play, plays a nice ball into the middle. Then it's the 1-2 between Enzo Lefebvre and Brobby, but as he gets it back, he takes the extra touch, the composure, and he absolutely smashes it into the top left-hand corner, leaving Vicario with absolutely no chance. But he hasn't had many touches in the game, but he hasn't needed them. He's got he's got a goal here with only 10 touches.
Well, Brobby making that 10th touch pay with an unerring strike into the roof of the net. Only his third goal of the season, and of course he scored famously the late goal against Arsenal, didn't he, that made it 2-2 at the Stadium of Light earlier on this season, and he's got another against the North London club today, a bit earlier on in the game, but still late doors to make it 1-1 here. And Sunderland are going to make a change here with Chris Rigg coming on, and off goes Maenda.
Yeah, Chris Rigg coming on again, more of a natural midfielder, so maybe just solidify him while still having the attacking ability of Chris Rigg as well. So yeah, that was, it's been coming simply because when we spoke about it at half time, we said Spurs have got two options. They can keep on the front foot and try and get the second goal themselves, or they play in transitions. Where they've played in transitions today, they haven't made them count. They haven't got the second goal to kill Sunderland off, and the more and more chances you give them to get back into the game, they're going to take one. And Brobby, with only his 9th and 10th touches, gets himself that goal.
It just shows what a good striker is when you don't need many touches, but when you do get that chance, you put it off. And now Sunderland feel that they might be able to pull off more as Bentancur batters Brobby from behind and picks up a yellow card. It's another one of those good fouls that you mentioned earlier, Curtis, as it stopped a promising Sunderland attack.
Yeah, but Brobby will be really frustrated with that because he doesn't quite get the ball out of his feet to start, whereas Bentancur would have had no chance, because as soon as he would have taken that touch, it would have been 2v1 down this left-hand side with himself and Enzo Lefebvre. And that's a chance missed. But again, as you said, as he took that short touch, Bentancur was there to bring him down and to give his team a chance to get back into defensive shape.
Taken short as Granit Xhaka has it for Sunderland. Long looping ball into the penalty area. Vicario comes and looked to have spilled it. Might have got a free kick anyway from the referee in any event, but Vicario has the ball and gets ready to release it. But Spurs now a bit cowed after conceding that goal. They have been a bit cautious since the midway point of the second half, and have perhaps paid the price for going into their shells once again. And Sunderland, if there is to be a winner, look the more likely now, because they look pumped and they look like they've discovered a bit of energy as Mukiele puts the squeeze on Tell down by the byline, and he's forced the error. Sunderland have the ball once again, whipped in towards Mundell, who gets up and gets his head to it. They wanted a handball in there against him, not given, and now the curling effort is tipped over the top by Vicario to prevent Trey Hume, turning the game on its head. And what a change we've had in the momentum now.
Yeah, the momentum is one thing. You could tell the atmosphere, it's just totally changed now. The Sunderland fans are loud as anything, and all you're hearing from Spurs fans is moans and groans at the moment. But you see here, just as it comes in, Mundell does really well just to get something on it. It lands to Trey Hume, who takes on a shot. Probably decent power. I think Vicario makes a meal of the save, if I'm being honest. But it is a corner for Sunderland, and something that Spurs will have to think about and defend properly.
In comes the corner, and up go the heads again. They haven't really dealt with it too well. Alderete has a swing, blocked off by Porro. Well, where has this come from? Spurs suddenly look very devoid of confidence, and no surprise that Thomas Frank is making a couple of changes here to try and change the momentum. And we're going to see Dane Scarlett come on, as well as Jed Spence here, with Sunderland turning the screw and trying to turn 1 point into 3. 1-1 with 5 minutes of the 90 remaining, as it's going to be Hume with the long throw from midway inside the Tottenham Hotspur half. Good distance on the throw as well, and the headed clearance is completed by Ben Davis. One back by Xhaka, and Lefebvre looking for the give and go. Xhaka's header forwards nearly found the figure of Mukiele in a good area. No foul there though. Spurs fume. They feel that there was a challenge that should have resulted in a free kick, and Stuart Atwell does have to stop play here because there's a head issue. Sunderland annoyed about that. They think that Tell is trying to buy the foul, and now the assistant referee is involved as well, as Stuart Atwell goes across to consult him.
Yeah, well, he's gone to the assistant referee to see what happened, but Mukiele clearly thought that Tell, his compatriot, was making a meal of it. You know, he gets across him, and his hand possibly slips onto his forehead. It wasn't a contact where he's put an elbow out or slapped anybody, but it's all getting a little bit out of hand down there. You can tell the frustrations of Tottenham are starting to kick in. You see Mickey van der Ven taking his compatriot away as well. So yeah, it's getting a little bit messy down there. But this is only going to play into Sunderland's hands, because they're the ones on top at the moment. Tottenham are getting frustrated, and Sunderland look really good to try and press on to win this game.
Well, the two captains have been brought across by Stuart Atwell for a conversation about what went on there, and there's still a disagreement between Rodrigo Bentancur and Nordi Mukiele about that, but much ado about nothing, as it appears it will just be a bounce ball, will it? Bentancur called across, Stuart Atwell having a word with him here.
He did push Geertruida in the back of the head,
and Bentancur's already on a yellow, remember.
Yeah, but it was needless, I don't know what Geertruida had to do with that action of play, because it was Mukiele who actually leant down to Tel and actually said something to him. So I don't know what quite happened before that, but Bentancur just riling things up and just causing a little bit of a storm at a time where it doesn't really need to happen. You need to clear heads to try and get yourself that second goal and go on and win this game, particularly as you're about to bring on, in my opinion, what are a couple of attacking impetus substitutions.
Yep, so Matisse Tel is going to go off, Jed Spence comes on, and also Dane Scarlett, that attacking minded change. Ben Davies goes off, so Spence will slot in to Davies's position in the defence, and Scarlett will come on and try and give them more of an attacking spear up top in place of Tel.
I think Jed Spencer's coming on as well, just in terms of if it's about the pace and stuff like that, just as the game's getting a little bit stretched both ends, he's got pace to burn, and he'll manage to match Mukiele, who's been, as having moved from centre half, has been fantastic on the right hand side and caused a lot of problems for that Spurs defence.
Roofs under pressure from Bergvall, bangs the clearance upfield, and Pedro Porro can clear away from the right back area. It would be a good point for Sunderland, given that they have looked a bit leggy after that draw with Manchester City, and in the first half offered next to nothing, but Regis Lebris has got the reaction he was hoping for from his charges in the second period, and now ball over the top, nearly caught Jed Spence napping. Chris Rigg collects it for Sunderland, crossing position from the right, and it's a good cross. Mundell's up there, his header keeps it alive. Romero jostling with Brobby and gets the clearance in eventually. Alderete has it. Sunderland believes that they can go on and snatch all 3 points. 1-1 with 90 seconds of the 90 minutes left, and Porro with a cool head just sends it back to Vicario with a header.
Yeah, Chris Rigg put in a great ball, and Mundell does really well just to get a head on it and play it across, but unfortunately only Brobby's in the box at that moment and just goes past him. But as the ball came back in again, Porro with great composure just to knock it back to Vicario with his head.
Paulinho loops it forwards, and the target was Dane Scarlett, but it wasn't controlled by him, and it's safely with Roofs, who plays it to Alderete. Alderete into centre field. It's Granit Xhaka now for Sunderland, who are level at 1-1 thanks to a cracking finish from Brian Brobby, and Brobby makes his way into the centre here, but Enzo Lefebvre carrying forwards dangerously, and the ball in from him was disappointing. He had 4 blue shirts in there to try and pick out, didn't find any of them. Jed Spence takes a bit of a gamble, dribbling out from his own penalty area, gets away from one challenge, not the second, so it'll be a Spurs throw with 30 seconds of normal time left.
Yeah, Jed Spencer, we say takes a risk. He knows what he's doing. He just knocks it round the player, knowing that his pace will take him up the pitch, and he's managed to get his team right up towards the halfway line. But yeah, just nervous moments there for Spurs again. As the ball's flashed in, you just don't know where that second ball's going to land. But fortunately for them, it landed with Bergvall, who inadvertently passed it to Jed Spence and managed to get him up the pitch.
Spence for Spurs goes back to Guillermo Vicario. A few boos from the Spurs fans at seeing them retreat as we wait to see how much added time we'll have, and the answer is a minimum of 6 minutes added on, so certainly still time for a winning goal for one of these sides. Randall Kolomoani into Pedro Porro. Porro with a chance to get the cross in. He goes through the legs, in fact, and there's an opportunity for Paulinho to get the cross in. Who did that go behind of last? The officials say Paulinho sent it behind, so it will be a goal kick rather than the corner that the Spurs fans were expecting.
Yeah, Alderete does really well because he knows Paulinho isn't going to knock it past him and then get to the byline, so he kind of just stands and waits for Paulinho to make the move. So I did think it actually come off Alderete, but the linesman has given the goal kick, which allows Sunderland to reset and give them another chance to attack this Tottenham goal as well.
Well, that point means that if Sunderland do hold on for a point, they would remain ahead of Newcastle United. Newcastle set to move up to 9th in the table, leading Crystal Palace by 2-0 late on, as this game is as well. But Sunderland would be on 30 points, Newcastle on 29. Spurs would remain in the bottom half on 27 behind Everton, Fulham, Brighton. So there would be glances towards Thomas Frank once again. Their next game is away at Bournemouth, who are on an 11-game run without a victory in the Premier League. Here goes Jed Spence down the left. He's managed to prize the throw-in out of the lunging challenge from Nordi Mukiele. And will Spurs go for a long one into the area here? Well, it looks as though Bergvall is going to deliver a long throw here. Nearly 2 minutes of the 6 that have been added on have elapsed here as Spurs try to get themselves back in front. 1-1 late on as Bergvall gets ready to hurl this in. Oh dear. Well, he's made a complete hash of that. It's a foul throw, and well, he just looks down at the turf, but I don't think you can blame the turf.
No, there's no bobbles in the air.
No.
It was in his hands, and listen, if it slipped out of his hands, I understand, but he looked as if the ref was going to let him have a second go. Unfortunately, it's a foul throw.
Yeah.
Once it leaves your hands, if it stays out of play, that's fine, but once it comes into play, unfortunately, it's a foul throw, and again, a let-off really, because it would have been a last big chance for them to attack and get the ball right into that Sunderland box.
He looked pleadingly, didn't he, at the referee, as if to say, I can't believe I've done that, please give me another chance, mate. But no, it was a foul throw, although Bergvall has now got the ball and got it forwards nicely to Pedro Porro, right side of the pitch for Spurs. Half of the 6 added minutes have gone. Porro's cross is half blocked as well. Oh dearie me, poor clearance on the edge of the area, turn and hit from Alinia is blocked, and he needs to get back and do the day job to prevent the counter from Sunderland here. Bentancur has done that at the expense of a Sunderland throw on the halfway line, and Sunderland taking their time now, perhaps realising that actually a point away from home when they haven't been at their best in the first half is not to be sniffed at.
Yeah, it's a really good point coming here, of course, but just there, that opportunity there, if Mundell was a bit more thoughtful, if he plays it a little bit longer, Enzo Lefay's ahead of Bentancur, and Bentancur is on the booking, so running towards his own goal towards Enzo Lefay's heels would have been more interesting, but fortunately for Bentancur it was level with him, so he could make the tackle and put the ball out for a throw-in.
Alderete intercepts the ball forwards from Porro, looped into the Tottenham half now. Bentancur's header is loose, it's going to be picked up by Granit Xhaka. We've got 2.5 minutes of added time left to play. Xhaka brings it forwards, Mukiele with the early ball in. Brobby was waiting in there, so was Mundell, but it wasn't near to either of them. Vicario claims and now sets Pedro Porro away. Are Spurs able to snatch a late win here? Porro coming forwards, no tackle on him, so he's got towards the edge of the area, goes down the line now. Opportunity for Colomwani to cross, which he takes, and they've got Scarlett in the area who couldn't bring it down quickly enough. It's picked up by Mickey van der Ven though. Van der Ven about 5 yards outside the Tottenham penalty area. No obvious forward ball on for him, so he has to go backwards of square. Bentancur plays it square to Christian Romero. Spurs patient in the build-up, but not quick enough for the fans' liking. Will Porro put the ball in now from wide on the right? He will. It's a good cross, and the header is narrowly wide. Chance to win it there for João Paulinho. Flick header at the near post, trying to put it in at the far stick, but he didn't get enough on it, and a glancing contact drifts wide.
Yeah, the patience there was a virtue for Spurs, because it allowed them to get 5-6 bodies in the box, and as it comes out to Porro, he's all alone, puts a great ball into the box, and he's probably about 10-12 yards out, Paulinho, as he gets across it. But it's that one where the pace is on the ball. He tries to direct it towards that bottom left-hand corner, but unfortunately for him, it's just the wrong side of the post. Could be the last chance for Spurs.
Roofs gives it a big heave upfield. We've played 5 of the 6 added minutes that were signalled. Will either side get a chance to get the win here? Well, it's here Trauder sending it forwards for Sunderland to no one in particular, and then it's banged upfield by Granit Xhaka. It will come all the way through to Vicario. We're inside the final minute of added time. Vicario with the long ball forwards towards Porro on the right, but Porro out-jumped by Trey Hume, so it's a Spurs throw. Porro is the man who is set to take it. Brentford have got a 4th at Everton. They now lead by 4-1. Still 1-1 between Fulham and Liverpool. Newcastle 2 up on Palace as ball is cut out in centre field by Hitrauda, and Hitrauda trying to get clear of João Paulinho, who's taken him out there and knows that he's going to get a yellow card, but that was one of those where he decided it was worth the booking, because otherwise Sunderland might have been in right at the end.
Yeah, well, that's it. He had about 30 yards of space ahead of him. Even Mickey van der Ven wasn't in a position to come across and cover, so he definitely would have been in trouble, because Brobby would have been there as well, just alongside him. So it's a good foul and a good yellow card for Polina to save it for his team. But there will be this last chance for Sunderland to send Big Dan Ballard up top and see if he can head them into the lead.
Well, we've had the minimum of 6 added minutes, so added time beyond added time now, and it's in towards the cluster of blue shirts, and there is the full-time whistle. Let's listen to the reaction here. Well, a smattering of boos from the home supporters at the end of the game then, with Sunderland fighting back to earn a point courtesy of Brian Brobby's very sharp finish. And there's a bit of afters going on here, with Vicario trying to prevent Rodrigo Bentancur going back in on Hirtrauda, and that's been bubbling since that earlier challenge about 10 minutes or so ago. And some of the other players now getting involved to try and stop there being any set twos, and it seems to have calmed down now. But overall, it's another game that Spurs will come out of and feel disappointed, and the fans showing their frustrations once again.
Yeah, there'll be a frustration simply because Sunderland's attacking impetus was pretty much non-existent in the first half. It was more, sloppiness from Spurs might have given them half openings, but again, Vicario had nothing to do. Come the second half, they came out on the front foot, as you should do, but Spurs never reacted to that. They played in transitions, which again, there's nothing wrong with that, playing in transitions at home, but you have to make them count. There was one where Pedro Porro did really well, got the ball across to Colomawani. He took a bad touch. There was one with Richarlison. If he just hangs it up towards the back post rather than trying to play through the gap, Colomawani would have been free around the 6-yard box to go and score. Didn't make it count. And if you don't put these teams to bed like Sunderland, in the moment that they're in right now, so much confidence. Listen, I know away from home they haven't scored many goals, but they're a confident team with a good team ethic. So they knew the pressure was on Spurs. The more you don't put them to bed, you give them chances. And in that second half, I actually thought if anyone was going to win it, it's probably going to be Sunderland towards the end.
So let's have a word about Sunderland again. They have avoided defeat. It's another point for them on the board. They maintain what has been an impressive start to things so far this season under Regis Lebris. What did they manage to alter in that second half that got them back into it?
Just an attacking impetus rather than going into a low block straight away. They were allowing, Spurs, can you break us down? And they started to press a little bit higher. Not an all-out press, but they started to press a little bit higher. Spurs started to miss that out and giving the ball back to Sunderland. And from there, you had the likes of Xhaka, Enzo Lefebvre getting on the ball, making things happen. And then, the likes of Mundell coming on to cause problems. They were very, very good in the second half in terms of territory, being in that box, in and around that box. And I tell you what, the substitution which I raised my eyebrows at with Dan Ballard coming on, Mukiele going into right back and actually running up and down that right hand side, he put a few lovely balls into the box that caused problems. So fair play to Regis Lebris for those substitutions, because all of them paid off, and it was an excellent half from Sunderland. And like I say, didn't probably create that key chance to go and win the game, but in terms of the impetus, I thought they were more likely to win it than Spurs.
Thank you very much indeed for your company this afternoon, Curtis. So Sunderland pick up another point for the newly promoted side, who continue to show that they are very, very much belonging at this level following their elevation from the Championship. As for Tottenham Hotspur, well, more questions remain about their progress under Thomas Frank after they pick up another point with a not too attacking performance. Full time here, Tottenham Hotspur 1, Sunderland 1. And that is it from us here in North London this afternoon. Goodbye.